thank you everyone so much for joining me here on the High Ground podcast. I am super stoked today to talk about Clone Wars. I have a bunch of awesome creators. All three of you guys, I love all of your content and followed you since I joined TikTok myself. And a lot of what I see you guys do inspired me to make my videos in the first place. So that is so awesome. I want to have a start by kind of going around. And so I'll start with you, Jordan. And first question is going to be, first of all, who are you? How'd you get into Star Wars? And what is it about the Clone Wars? Why do you like the Clone Wars?
So I'm Jordan. I make TikToks and stream on Twitch. So for me, how I got into Star Wars was actually the Clone Wars, which is reflected in a lot of the, let me turn my light on, a lot of the videos I make actually. I started, my first video was like a Phineas and Ferb video, then I talked about some Disney movie, and then I didn't like the actual videos I made because I don't think anybody likes the first two videos that they make. And then I made, then it was Clone Wars Season 7, right before the Bad Batch was about to come out. I did a video like Season 7 Clone Wars, I can't wait. And it popped off, and I was like, wait, it's TikTok, Star Wars, that's a thing. I think that's how that happens for all of us at a point. And then I really, really liked it. And my first thing with Star Wars was, I don't know everyone's ages here, I'm a 2001 baby. So for us, I think 2001 kids to I think 2007, 8 kids, we're following a weird age group where our first Star Wars wasn't actually the movies. We discovered Star Wars through the Clone Wars. And that's why I fell in love with Star Wars, was literally the Clone Wars, which is really interesting because this podcast is about the Clone Wars. So yeah, that's that. That's my introduction.
Awesome, beautiful. You said 2000 and.
I think no, I'm saying that's.
Y'all remember that TikTok and?
Well, no, I'm saying like.
No, I get it though. I get it.
Cut off.
Yeah, awesome. Same question to you, Zach. How'd you get into it in Clone Wars?
Yeah, so hi everyone. This is my first time making an appearance on the High Ground, so this is really awesome. So my name is Zach Bravo, and I'm an actor and / voice actor. Gotten into that recently, and I'm from New York. What got me into Star Wars? Well, I was born in 1996, and so what got me into Star Wars was, of course, watching the prequels when they came around. So the Phantom Menace was just like so big for me, and I just remember. I mean, we all remember the battle at Naboo. We just all remember that. So that had made such an impression onto me that I just like immediately loved Star Wars. Then once I heard about Clone Wars, I didn't actually get into it until much later. I had seen some episodes like when it was like on Cartoon Network and stuff like that, but it wasn't until all the episodes were gathered onto Disney Plus that I started to rewatch everything and be like, oh, like this was pretty badass. This is a pretty badass show for like a cartoon show for kids, as people would like to say.
Yeah, let's not do that one.
We'll be here all night, bro.
Not yet. We're not. No one's ready for that yet.
Good show.
All right, Josh.
All right, so I was born a year later than you, Zach. I was born in good old 1997.
Cheers,
I think they call us we're either the tail end of millennials or we're like the granddaddies of Gen Z. Like we're really old.
That's probably us.
Yeah,
and
like
you
we're
guys
like the first wave.
You guys are still prequels babies too.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing about me, and I guess I'll give you like the quick life story of how I got into Star Wars.
Sure.
So I was about 6 years old. We lived in a nice little house. There was a local library about a mile away, and back then, like my mom didn't want me to get any video games. Like, you're not touching any of these video games. Like, read, and maybe watch a movie if it's educational, that kind of stuff. And so the local library had like this set of movies, like really old movies. Like the newest one was 1977. That was the most recent one. And so that one turned out to be Star Wars: A New Hope. And so I was like, oh, I mean, I've seen this in like books before. I think I'll try this one out. Mom, can I get this movie? And she's like, yeah, sure. Come home, watch it, immediately sucked in, and the rest is literally history. And so I was too young to kind of watch the prequels in the movie theaters. The latest one was 2005, and I was 8 years old, so I didn't really. My dad swore that he took me. I don't remember it. And so my official introduction was kind of that middle period between 2005 and 2008 before the Clone Wars came out.
Yeah.
And I kind of like went back and looked at all 6 movies, and it was a really awesome experience. And then when the Clone Wars came out right after Avatar: The Last Airbender ended, I kind of went from great show to great show, and then like my love for Star Wars blew up since then. So that's my life.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
It is. It's actually like a wonderful time, and it makes me so happy, especially when rewatching Airbender and seeing Dave Filoni working on that. That's how he got the job for Clone Wars.
Isn't that nuts? Oh my god!
Lucas poached him, man. He was like, I want him.
And then not to go off all on Avatar, but I was born in 1987, so you guys are actually all the same age as my little brother. And the way I got into The Last Airbender, so it's literally walking past the couch while my little brother was watching it. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then 5 hours passed, and I was still watching it. And like my whole day was gone, and I was like, okay, I think I like this. But yeah, for me, Star Wars, I grew up watching my mom's VHS tape of Empire Strikes Back. And then I was around when the originals were getting their special edition re-releases in theater. So that's kind of mine. So I'm also in an awkward stage like you guys, where I got into it before the prequels, but after the originals. And so I think it's fascinating how, depending on what time, what age you got into it, it's an entirely different thing for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it has always been the story of Luke Skywalker. And then we flash back to see how the universe got to where it was. But for you guys, it's the story of Anakin Skywalker. Like it's really. What do you think, Jordan?
For me, actually, which is funny enough, because I've had a few conversations about this with other creators. To me, my Luke Skywalker, my Anakin Skywalker is Ahsoka Tano. Star Wars is.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm, as much as I'm only like 2-3 years younger than some of you, Star Wars is about Ahsoka Tano to me. It's not about Anakin. It's not about Luke. Like, to me, everything is about Ahsoka. And like, I'm the start of that generation. Like, I think I'm the start of that Star Wars generation. But truthfully, I'm not a sequels kid. I'm not a prequels kid. I watched Ahsoka Tano. I watched Clone Wars, and the first memory I have of Clone Wars is pre-Vizsla pulling out the dark saber. That's my first vivid Star Wars memory.
That's a good memory, man.
Yeah, that's a really
good memory.
Yeah.
I watched Star Wars before that, Clone Wars before that, but that was the first time I was like, whoa. I made a video about this, and then I looked at my dad and said, he loves Star Wars. He just didn't know I was into it because I was just watching it on Cartoon Network, on the CRTV. I said, let's go to Blockbuster. I am old enough to remember Blockbuster. and we are going to buy all of Star Wars and watching it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was about to say, do we need to like talk about VHS tapes and what they were back then?
and it's a TikTok audience too.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Different monster.
I love how the save icon is still always a floppy disk. And I'm sure no one has any idea what that means.
Like, why is that circle there? That's a save menu. It's a save menu.
But speaking of seeing the movies, did all of us watch the Clone Wars movie when it came out? I saw that in theater. Yep. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I kind of expressed some of it last week.
I don't think I did. The Clone Wars movie where they were trying to save Hutt's son?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was. I thought that was like straight to DVD sort of deal. So I just watched it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much 4 episodes of the Clone Wars stitched together.
I was about to say.
So you're not wrong in that it feels like a direct to TV type of.
Actually, I remember.
It did get a magical release.
It did.
I do remember that, but I don't remember as much as like seeing it in the movie theaters. But I do remember. When they had a lightsaber, like for the Wii, when the Wii was big back then, remember that? They had that lightsaber game, and it basically followed the same storyline as the movie. So I guess I technically watched the movie through the game, because
Okay.
of the story mode. So
I used to wake up at 7 in the morning every morning. I would like not wake my parents. Had like not Nerf, but like some third parties like light up lightsaber that I put my Wii remote in and play every morning. Oh my god, that brings back memories.
It was Lego Star Wars for me.
Lego Star Wars, man.
That's how I watch the movies before I actually watch the movies.
Complete Skywalker saga coming soon.
Yep.
So Josh, did you happen to see the theatrical release?
Yeah, actually, it's a funny story behind that. I never paid to go see it.
Okay.
Blame my dad. I had nothing to do with any illegal activity. I was an unknowing accomplice. We went to see that movie that came out around the same time. It was with Keke Palmer. She played the female football player. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
No.
It was on the high school or the middle school football team.
Yes.
She was like she's based on a real life character, a real life person. She played football with the guys. It was like a really inspirational thing. The movie bored the living hell out of me. And I knew that right next door in the theater next door to me, they were playing a Star Wars movie. And I'm so upset that I didn't get to experience the prequels. I'm like, Dad, can we please see Clone Wars after this? And my dad was like, I'm not paying for another ticket. We are going home after we see this movie. So I'm mad. And then like right after like I think the last trailer, he like whisks me away. And I was like, where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? He was like, go on that. Don't come out until the movie's over. And I was like, did he just drop me off to go watch this? Okay, cool. I sat in like the middle, watched the entire movie, and I walked out. My mom was like, were you in there the entire time? I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. Movie was fine. It was It was 4 episodes of the Clone Wars.
It was, but it was 4 episodes starting Zero the Hutt. I just I can't with that character, man.
I can't, man.
Well, since a lot of you guys really started with Clone Wars, I guess I was going to ask what your guys' thoughts on its effect on the prequels was, but I don't know that really applies, right? I mean,
it does.
Yeah, I'd argue it still does.
All right.
Actually,
then I'll start with you, Josh.
Sure.
Your thoughts on how it kind of affects the prequels themselves.
Yeah. So even though I think the Clone Wars is an excellent form of media to watch on its own, even if you haven't seen any of the movies, it's a very weird thing to us because we've seen the movies countless times. But it is possible to watch it and understand what Star Wars is without having to see the movies. But at its core, Star Wars: The Clone Wars is the prequels. Like it is it's literally the bridge between episode 2 and episode 3. So I look at it, I'll always look at it, and I don't know why people look at it as an insult. I will always see the Clone Wars as supplemental in its nature to the episode 2 and episode 3. They go, no, it's better than episode 2 and episode 3. I'm like, well, that's not what I'm not saying that it's not better or worse than episode 2 and 3. I'm saying that this show was created by George Lucas and with the hand of Dave Filoni to enhance the movies that already came out. George Lucas absolutely wanted to explore the time period between it's a war. Like, you know what I'm saying? We go from Anakin, like teeny bopper Anakin to big drums and giant fleet battles at the beginning of episode 3. You're just like, what the hell happened? Like
how did we get here?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so we always had that thought in our mind, like, I want to know what they got to experience. Like, why is Anakin battle hardened? Why have they been doing this for this long? Like, I don't think we had a really good idea of the time period, like in terms of years at the time when the movies came out. And then as the canon became more solidified, we understood it as like, okay, that's a 3-year period, but a lot happened in those 3 years.
Yeah.
But I'll say that,
and better to make it into a TV series rather than making its own separate film, because even in the prequels or all the Star Wars movies, for that matter, there's only so much time and information that you can put out in a film. Whereas with a TV series, you could make doesn't matter if you have filler episodes or whatever. Like as long as you know the context of this war, you know, because like you said, it took so long. Right.
It's a galaxy far, far away. It's a galaxy, so there's literally. I've always said this, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm rambling.
No.
Star Wars I hate when people say that Star Wars is oversaturating. I hate it's almost my trigger phrase. When somebody says that, I go, no, it is impossible. If you do it the right way, if you run the franchise the right way, it is impossible to oversaturate the market with Star Wars, because you can literally do any genre within Star Wars. You can do a Western if you wanted to. You can do
Mandalorian, man.
Exactly.
Mandalorian,
You could do a classic sci-fi. You could do a heist, Solo.
Yeah.
You could do a war movie, Rogue One. There's so much you could do
So
a comedy if you wanted to. So it's like,
Christmas
what
special.
exactly? If you slap the Star Wars name on something, it's going to make $800 million. Well, maybe not.
People are gonna buy it.
Exactly. Yeah, but I rest my case. Sorry.
I think
No, I appreciate it. Jordan,
I'll say to the oversaturated issues with Star Wars, what I'll say is this, right? To us diehard fans, right? To people who love Star Wars, true and true, and all that, we're never going to get tired of Star Wars. Anything that comes out, we're going to watch it. But to the people that we know that, I have a good friend that, for an example, she watched the prequels, watched the originals. She never watched the sequels, but she loves Star Wars, absolutely loves it, right? She hasn't watched Mandalorian, and she hasn't watched Clone Wars, Rebels, even the sequels, but she says it's too much to watch. And for somebody who isn't a diehard fan, one of us, because we'll eat up anything Lucasfilm gives us, anything, right? Because we absolutely love it. But to the regular watcher who isn't watching every single day, not making TikToks, I guess, and not really thinking about Star Wars in everyday life,
New material.
Star Wars was once a scarcity that we never got, right? To see Star Wars on the big screen was huge. And it did feel weird to see Solo. It did feel weird to see Rogue One. And we're retuning ourselves to like Star Wars, right? And we're retuning ourselves. It's no longer a streamlined thing. And we brought up Avatar before, right? The reason Avatar will never, in my opinion, get oversaturated, even though the live action is now, I'm talking the cartoons, will never get oversaturated if they made a third, fourth series, because it's a streamlined experience. It's a streamlined story. When Star Wars is kind of piece here, piece there, piece another place. So when you consider it like that, it can get oversaturated, because you have to remember Star Wars is for everybody, not just our diehard fans.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of the way I look at it is it's, and I made a TikTok about this as well, but it's like our comic book or superhero shows. Once upon a time, you could feasibly watch every comic related thing that came out. Right now, that's not possible. There is literally too much content, and it's actually awesome, because it means that we get to pick and choose what we're watching, and it means that they can make something for everyone. If comedy is your thing, you can watch something that's funny, or if action is your thing, or character driven. That's why I think it's a wonderful time, because once you hit that breaking point, well, then there's something for everyone. That's just kind of how I look at it. But yeah, and the Clone Wars specifically, since I grew up with the prequels, and I heard all of the prequel hate instantly start. What the Clone Wars did is it explained all of kind of the plot holes, or actually, I hate that word, because most times people say something's a plot hole. It's not a plot hole. There's just not sufficient data. But yeah, when you jump from episode 2 to episode 3, honestly, Obi-Wan and Anakin don't spend very much time together. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They joke around about their relationship and all this stuff. We've never seen it. So after watching the Clone Wars and then rewatching Revenge of the Sith, that last battle at the end means so much more, because we got to see them come up together, and then we got to see Anakin have his own Padawan and relive the same struggle that Obi-Wan did and lose his Padawan. Oh man, like it's
and the thing about it is, like, it's a sad scene whether you've seen the Clone Wars or not, because there's still the insinuating that they've spent a lot of time together, so it's still a heavy hitting scene. I didn't cry when I saw it before I saw the Clone Wars. After watching the Clone Wars, and then you go back to that scene where he's like, "You were the chosen," the classic, "You were the chosen one. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." I sat there and single tear. It's just, man, oh my God, bro. I've seen this 80 times, and now it wants to hit me.
Yeah. I'll never, what's sad to me, not sad, but it's really weird to me in the perspective of myself, I've never seen it without the context of the Clone Wars. So even, I mean, I can't go back and retake away the context of the Clone Wars. I'm watching it at 9 years old. My dad doesn't understand the context of the Clone Wars, but I'm sitting there. I know cartoon Anakin and cartoon Obi-Wan. Not only do I know the Anakin Obi-Wan from the movies, when I saw Order 66 for the first time, I saw Cody. I didn't see some random clone.
Yes.
So that's weird because that I think even like little kids growing up today will probably see the movies first. But for somebody who did see Clone Wars first and people who do see Clone Wars first, it's very jarring. So I'll never understand the prequels hate, because even Jar Jar in the prequels, right? He's a really good character in the Clone Wars. Like, Jar Jar's a really good Clone Wars character. He has arcs centered around him. And luckily, I did see Phantom Menace before I got introduced to Clone Wars Jar Jar. I will say that.
You need to know the full story, Jordan.
It's just crazy to me that I'll never get that context.
Yeah.
And there are people out there.
And that's also why I love reading all books and comics and all this stuff, because if you can imagine the emotional impact that watching the Clone Wars affected, the prequels, well, that's getting outside context for the movie, and it's the same. And I hear people complain, "Oh, you shouldn't have to see anything else or read anything about it." You don't have to, but it makes it better. It's up to you. But let's go around real quick, and I want to hear your guys' favorite characters, right? Maybe let's go top 2. We'll start with Jordan.
Well, so mine's basic. It's Ahsoka and Anakin, just because I grew up with them. I didn't. Those were my Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and all that. Like, those are my 2 first originals, so it's them. But outside of them, it's definitely, again, simple, Rex, and I don't know. There's so many good characters, but yeah, mine are pretty basic.
Yeah. Zach?
I mean, it's clearly obvious that I just hate Darth Maul so much.
It's just a job, man. It's just a job.
I know, yeah. I got paid 2 cents on TikTok just to talk about Darth Maul. No. Darth Maul is really near and dear with my heart because for me personally, he just has like the deepest story for me, like, and the best comeback story, honestly.
Absolutely.
And besides him, Kit Fisto.
Kit Fisto's baller,
I do love
man.
Kit Fisto.
He is, man.
And oh my goodness, I mean, because Darth Maul, he was really cool in Phantom Menace, but was almost a throwaway character, and he got given so much depth, and especially like. You got to kind of hear his brilliance, because he's a smart guy.
He is the most. I don't even need to get into this.
But we will.
Is the most strategic person I've ever met throughout the
Even Rebels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even in Rebels, man.
How is our Padawan? Like, what?
when he called Ahsoka a part-timer, I was like,
Darth Maul.
I said, I didn't know Rebels went out like that, bro. Damn.
He's a shady bitch.
And she
said, Lady Tano. Yeah.
She sat there like, damn, he got me too. He kind of just sat there like,
Sam Witwer does an amazing job. Like, he is so good.
I need to meet that man one day, just so I can ask him, can we both scream Kenobi together? It probably will never happen, but maybe one day.
Dante Bosco's on TikTok. You never know who Sam Witworth is.
He is. Sam Witwer is my spirit animal. But Josh, favorite characters?
Oh gosh. Well, it's always been pretty much an ensemble thing for me. I've never really had a singular favorite character. I always watched I always look at Clone Wars and Rebels. I love both of them. I thought the Clone Wars was like overall the superior show. Not that I'm comparing the two like that, like, oh, this one's better. So, but like, I always felt that Rebels focused more on like the single story of where they are to where they end up. So it was easier for me to pick out favorite characters in Rebels than it was because they, Clone Wars shoots around. If I had to choose, it would be Ahsoka. After watching the first 4 seasons, because I'll be honest with you guys, when she first came out, I was like, who the hell is it? What is
Scotty guy?
No. Oh God, bro. My God. And I'll be honest with you, and I love Dave Filoni. First season was kind of cringy. First season was. Yeah. Whenever it focused on Ahsoka, I'd be like, oh, see, it's her again. Like I feel so bad. But no, Ahsoka has grown to be one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, not just in the Clone Wars. So she's definitely up there. And my second one's probably Rex. I like Rex a lot. I think he's the most he's by far the most developed clone in the Clone Wars, and therefore of all time, because of how much they focus on him in the Clone Wars and then in Rebels, and how he's probably going to get more screen time in Bad Batch. I don't know if you guys have heard, he's probably going to show up there too. And then in season 2 of Mandalorian, he's making another appearance as Tamura Morrison. I'm like,
such an exciting time.
And so Rex is probably my second favorite, with Ahsoka coming out on top. Ahsoka's probably in terms of my heart, she's made the greatest comeback, because she went from my least favorite to like during Order 66, which we'll talk about. Like I was like, oh, that just breaks my heart. So I love those.
That's so crazy.
I can't wait to talk about Siege, man. I really can't.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get there. So for me, I have this irrational love of Plo Koon. I love him so much.
Plo Koon is the dad. He is the ultimate dad.
And I already know that it legitimately stems back to Jedi Power Battles, the video game. I don't know if you guys recall that, but Plo Koon was in it. He had a yellow lightsaber. I was like, this is the coolest guy. And I loved him. And then Jedi Academy came out, and you could play as plays
a Keldor.
His species,
And so I played the crap out of that game. And I just, man, so anytime that especially him and Ahsoka, they're a dynamic where when Ahsoka is with Anakin, it's this weird cross between teacher and little sister mechanic, whereas whenever she's with Plo Koon, like he is like the dad of like he says something, she's like, gotcha, like let's do it. And he's like, it's I looked at him more of like a grandfather figure, because she had this reverence. She had this serious reverence for him. Like she was like, he's the Jedi that found me. And I thought that was a really nice touch, to have him be the one that kind of like takes her to the temple and pretty much starts her life as a Jedi. And they have a very close bond. I wish Plo Koon got some more screen time. I think Filoni gave him as much, because it's his favorite Jedi too. I think he gave him as much screen time as he possibly could. Everybody going, why is this dude in every single episode? But I wish he had more, because he's one of my favorites too. Once upon a time, he was my favorite Jedi in terms of how he looked and all that. He was really cool. Yeah, absolutely.
I like the grandfather idea too, because he gives Anakin a lot of advice too.
Yeah.
And like helping him raise Ahsoka, it's kind of like, I went through this.
Yeah.
Now here you go there. Pass it on down.
He's like the classic meme where the dude has the rope around him. He's like, first time? Whenever Ahsoka's like, first time? And it's like, what?
That was good.
And then
she never listens to me first time.
Also, he's the same voice actor as Obi-Wan, but
James Arnold Taylor, baby,
super versatile.
The
voice
best
actor.
Man.
Voice acting's so cool. I would want to get into it one day. It's awesome.
It's fun.
We'll have to talk to Zach more about that. I've thought about it myself, but my voice is terrible. So, but yeah, let's jump into. We're gonna start with seasons 1 through 3 for favorite arcs, or just what's going on. And I always like to jump around, so I'll start with Zach on this one. What jumps out at you? I kind of put together a list of the arcs for that era. But do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I would say the Zilla Beast duology. I really enjoyed that one. I mean, it was so random to like just like put the narrative on like a monster, but has like the potential to like but it's like a very actual valuable resource, at least in Palpatine's eyes, for like armor, other stuff, and it was just like there was just so much context within it. It wasn't just like, we must kill this beast because it's destroying like our planets, but no, it's like more so like, I can actually do something with this. But I just felt later on, more. I just felt really sad for the Beast because it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like he's just trying to live, or they whatever the Beast identifies. It's just more so like this is probably the last of its species and it's just trying to survive. And I always will. I'll probably shed a tear now, but I always feel sad for like that sort of story where it's just like the person who is like or a creature who is like the last of their kind and they are just trying to get by. And then I believe if I remember correctly, they ended up killing the Zilla Beast, but they made plans to clone it, right?
Yes, yeah,
that never got followed up on either. That kind
It never did. It
they were
never
like,
did.
Ooh, indestructible armor. I was like, well, that'd be pretty useful, right?
Right? Yeah.
Never talk about it again.
Never
Okay,
used
cool.
again.
So, fun fact about that.
Mhm.
It's actually, I forget where the interview is. I want to say it's the same one. Actually, I don't know if it is. I'll just say this. So basically, that was a gift to Dave Filoni.
Really?
Yeah, there's an interview where they talk about it. I could be wrong, but I want to say almost 110% sure I'm right. Dave Filoni loved Godzilla. And because Clone Wars can get played around here and there and somewhere else, I saw an interview where George Lucas and Dave Filoni are talking, and George went, yeah, you know what? I gave you your gift. I gave you a Godzilla arc. Don't complain. Because I remember what it was.
Sounds like something George Lucas would say.
They're talking about
Just
D-Squad. They're talking about D-Squad. It was the interview where they're talking about how D-Squad is George Lucas's favorite arc in the Clone Wars. And then they
Domino Squad?
No, the Astromechs adventure with the little frog general guy.
We'll bring it up later because it's one of my favorite arcs in the Clone Wars. But basically, he said, "I got that one. You got Godzilla. We're even."
That's
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, I mean, the feels I get from the Zilla Beast arc, and it's why it's one of my least watched. But it reminds me of I don't know if you guys are anime fans, and if you watch Full Metal Alchemist,
It's my favorite.
it reminds me of when the dog and the little girl.
Stop it.
Those feels. That's what I feel when I see the Zilla Beast.
Edward. Oh, that scarred me. I was like,
oh man.
Oh
Right?
my god.
So that's how I feel when I watch Zilla. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of feels for me.
I will never watch that episode.
But also
again.
there was that moment I believe when they finished up the arc for the Zilla Beast, we see like this very last shot of just like zooming into Palpatine's desk, and you just see like him change. Like you could see, there he is. There's Sidious.
It's
There he is.
it's the DiCaprio meme where he's like, that's him.
That's him right there.
That's him. That's him. He's doing the thing. He's doing the thing.
That's also one of my favorite things is that in no place in it do they actually reveal that Palpatine is Sidious. But I mean, obviously you can tell and you can see the little bits of him shining through the cracks. But like in front of everyone, he's always just like calm politician, and then the door shuts and then he has that evil grin, just like.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and it's been so long since I've seen the arc. Doesn't Palpatine go and see the Zilla Beast, and the Zilla Beast kind of like knows that he's
Yeah.
he kind of looks at him like, get the and Palpatine's like, oh, you came to play today. Okay, I got you. Cool. Bet you wish you could speak English. It's like,
Well, and they kept talking about, oh, it's just a dumb creature, but it wasn't. It clearly
He knew
wasn't.
that the Zilla Beast knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
The Zilla Beast always
Palpatine's
knows.
the biggest troll of all time.
Yes.
You have become a rival. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
get to that. All right. Josh, how about you? For arc?
For seasons 1 through 3?
1 through 3, yeah.
Oh gosh, Ryloth arc.
Solid.
I love the Ryloth arc. I'll talk more about it in a second. And the Rookies arc. The gosh, what do you call it? It's the prequel that came in season 3. It was heavy Domino Squad.
Domino Squad.
And then it was like a before the Rookies episode and after the Rookies episode. It was kind of like a duology. I'll talk about Ryloth first. Each episode of that trilogy gave me something different, and that's what I loved about it. I think the first one was what was the first episode that covered? It was when they first landed and they had to get rid of the anti-aircraft or anti-ship guns or whatever. And it's when we're first introduced to Waxer and Boyle, the 212 clones.
Yes.
I love them so much. And they meet Numa, the Twi'lek, the baby Twi'lek
Mhm.
who we see again in
Oh.
Rebels.
Oh
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she has the thing.
And
No.
oh my gosh, bro.
Sorry.
So, I know, man, it hit me like a truck when I went back and watched it. And I just love how we kind of get to see clones interact with like refugees and citizens. And you know that like it's like the first time, well, not the first time, but it's one of those times why I like the Clone Wars so much, because we kind of look at the clones as like people instead of Tamara Morrison body doubles. Everywhere you go, they all sound the same. And so it's nice to see them interact, have feelings, want to take care of people, want to look after little girls. And it always hits me at the end where she says like Nira or something like that, saying bye to Waxer and Boyle. And I think Waxer goes up to Obi-Wan and he goes, she keeps saying that. What does that mean? And he goes, it means brother. And I was like, oh, dude. Oh. And then episode 2 was, gosh, what was episode 2 covering? I know what episode 3 was because it's my namesake, but and he went absolutely out. Gosh, what's the second episode?
Well, also, real quick, not to super interrupt you, but it's also the very beginning of that arc where we see Emma Gundy push up to protect
Emma
his
Gundy?
Yeah. And
All right.
The nerve to name him that, man.
Yeah.
The nerve.
But I don't know. I always like that moment as well. But go ahead and continue. With the,
I remember what the other one was.
episode.
It's Storm over Ryloth. It's the blockade, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's where Ahsoka loses her squadron because she's too cocky and she's being in. I think that's the same. That's the same episode, and she like loses pretty much her entire squadron, and then Anakin kind of teaches her a lesson. I think Admiral Yularen gets injured during the fight, and so kind of like she feels responsible for all of these military mishaps. She ends up correcting her mistakes, and she ends up helping break the blockade, and that allows Obi-Wan to go and land. That's the second episode. Third episode is Mace Windu and his men leading that final charge into the capital city of Ryloth, and he's not dead. I refuse to believe that he's dead. After watching him single-handedly pretty much sun everybody on that planet, there's no way in hell that he died getting electrocuted and falling a couple hundred feet. But yeah, Ryloth is like one of my favorite season 1. I think it's the moment where Star Wars: The Clone Wars got really good for me. Season 3, the second arc I like a lot is the Camino arc, where it's like the Domino Squad training and learning how to be clone troopers, passing the test, and then defending Camino from the impending invasion. And that's just one of the most heartfelt moments ever. To this day, one of my favorite scenes from the Clone Wars is when Jacques T is pretty much at their graduation ceremony as clone troopers. And she tells them, like, you are no longer cadets, you're clones, may the force be with you. And then the ARC troopers hold them at attention. They put on their helmets and they all like, and then they march onto their ships. And you know that so many of them are going to die. And it's just the music. Kevin Kiner, who's the conductor for the Clone Wars and Rebels, he hit oh my gosh, it's like when they march and it's this quiet piano, and it's such a beautiful moment, and I love it. And then 99's death is the saddest
I remember all my brothers. Like, he's a real OG, you know?
Yeah. He was like, I can do this, and he just wanted to be a part of it. And I was but I rest my case. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah.
Worst death, 99, Zilla Beast.
Yeah.
99, Zilla Beast, everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else.
And then Savantro Price is somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
How about you, Jordan?
So you guys took a bunch of them, but I have a few that I'll touch on lightly. The Mortis is really good. I just remember watching it as a kid and just being like, even now, I'm just like, whoa. It's like, you learn what Anakin is. You learn what the Chosen One prophecy means. Before that, it's you. One thing I love about Clone Wars is you don't have to watch the Clone Wars to understand everything else, right? Mm-hmm. You just can kind of, it adds, but it doesn't take away.
Right.
When, again, another conversation for another time, novelizations, I think, add and take away. The Clone Wars only adds. At least novelizations as of recently. But back to that, the Mortis arc is like, we all know what the Chosen One is. We never have to watch Clone Wars to understand what the Chosen One is. But with Mortis, you learn what the true meaning of the Chosen One is. And with the father, the sister, the brother, and that whole dynamic with Ahsoka seeing her future self, saying you have to leave the Jedi Order, because we did see that. She says you have to leave your master to understand. And Obi-Wan seeing Qui-Gon for the first time. We understand it's a prequel kind of to the Yoda trilogy, or 4-part series in the end of season 6. It's such a smart, it sets up so much. And you even see it in Rebels, right? The father, the brother, the sister. I think Mortis, and I made a video on this, has so much to do with the future of Star Wars. I think Dave Filoni's Star Wars will focus a lot on Mortis, the Rebel sequel series and all that. Again, my opinion and theories, but you never know. And then another one, I want to say, well, the Mandalore. That's when he first pulls out the Darksaber, right? Seasons 1 through 3? Or is that season 4?
No, that's season 1 through 3. That's
season 3. Yeah, I mean, that's literally the time I fell in love with Star Wars. So no deep explanation from me, but it's one of those I just really appreciate it. And,
so I mean, just a couple things to add to that, especially with the Mandalore thing when they are on their way home with Satine. It's one of my favorite Anakin moments of all time. It's when the dude he's like, if you come any closer, I'm gonna blow everything up, and then a lightsaber just busts through his chest, and he's like,
what?
He was gonna blow up the ship.
What did you want me to do? Did you want me to die?
You went on another path that I was thinking. I thought you were gonna say, "Oh, go have fun with your girlfriend or something." That's another funny moment.
That's an underrated moment where he sees Obi-Wan and Satine having that classic relationship, or forbidden love argument, and Anakin's literally sitting there with like a cup of tea, and he's like, and I bet he gave him a lot of side looks on the way home, like, you got some balls telling me about what I should be doing with my personal life, and the leader of an entire planet used to love you. Get out of my face.
And then Anakin just meets Corky, and it's just like,
yeah.
Yeah. So actually, you guys, I mean, let's go around. Is Corky Kenobi canon? I mean, your thoughts. How do you feel, Jordan?
Yes, because what Dave Filoni said.
What did he say?
He said, "You guys will never know the truth, but I always will. But my truth is not canon." As in, they probably designed Corky to be his son, but he wasn't technically his son.
Right.
But it's open to canonization later on.
Yeah, that's my nephew. Yeah, nephew.
But it can be added on later into new series and the Kenobi show. You never know.
I'd be totally fine with it. And it also works pretty well if you look at the timelines. How old is Corky by the Clone Wars?
Which season?
It doesn't matter. It's
that's true.
A couple year difference.
So it actually works out perfectly because the relationship between Satine and Obi-Wan happened before Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly when before, but it's actually briefly talked about in the Master and Apprentice book by Claudia Gray. It's an excellent book.
It is a good
highly
book.
recommend it. But I don't know, Zach, your thoughts? Is it a thing? Sounds like Josh and Jordan are in agreement.
It just has to be. It has to be.
Yeah.
It's like he looks just like him. It's like that episode in Maury. It's just like it just they just look so much alike.
That is not my child, and it's like the lie detector determined that was a lie.
Also underrated thing about Corky, he hit puberty like a truck between seasons 3 and 4. He's just like a little kid, and he's just a full-grown teenager.
That's true. But I mean, I can't speak for any of you guys. Never mind. Let's not go there. Seasons 4 through 6.
Go ahead. What?
Now you have to.
Can't bring it up and then not talk about it, bro.
We'll do it after the podcast then.
Is it like that? Oh, it's like that.
No. It's just like, actually, I mean, I still have a baby face, but it. For me, I turned from a toddler into an adult like overnight, and so
scared your mom. She was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. At one point, like what happened is my arms grew to adult length first, and I could touch my kneecaps while standing up straight, and then the rest of me just like exploded up. So it happens. But yeah, let's jump into seasons 4 through 6, and this time we'll start with Zach.
All right, seasons 4 through 6. It's got to be the return, man. The Maul. He comes back, baby. He comes back. Oh my God, Mother Talzin just being like, telling Savage like, oh, so like your lost brother, like, don't think he's dead because he's totally not. Here's a little massage of like what he may look like, but it's totally him. Just like lost like 500 pounds. Poor guy.
Yeah.
He did gain it with his creepy spider legs. So
He did. Oh man, I wonder how much that weighs. I wonder if that's canon.
He also picked up a lot of insanity along the way.
He sure did. I mean, talk about PTSD from this guy. Like, this guy, like, just witnessed himself getting cut in half and then had to live with that for, like, what, 12, 13 years?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So it's definitely the return of Maul. And just, again, like what I said earlier, just I feel like that he has, like, one of the truest comeback stories. And you really get to see him really work like mindfully and how good he is with strategy. I mean, we see firsthand that like he was trying so much with like the pirates and the skirmish on Florum and all that stuff. But once he knew once he moved to Mandalore, he knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
He knew exactly. It was like once he got to Mandalore, he was like, this is cake.
Right.
So it's definitely that for me.
Yeah, I love how Freddie Prinze Jr., the actor who plays Kanan, referred to him as Sisyphus from Greek mythology.
Yeah,
forever cursed
yes.
to push a rock up to the top of the hill, and then it rolls back down, and he has to start over for eternity. And he's so successful, but it always ends up. I mean
he's bound to lose, which is the most unfortunate thing.
Yeah,
he's just like bound to lose.
But man, I love it, and again, Sam Witwer is amazing. But Josh, how about you? Seasons 4 through 6?
Oh gosh, probably the Umbara arc. Yeah, the Umbara arc is my favorite. Man. No, I won't stop. Yeah, because that had the most, like, I think out of all of the arcs in the entirety of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that had the most range of emotion, from like this is badass to my soul is crushed to oh my god I'm terrified, because Pong Krell is one of the most interesting. I know people hate him, but that he did his job. He did his job. He was supposed to be an a-hole, and so
true.
Him showing up and taking, I never would have predicted that he was actively. I thought he was just being a jerk, and he didn't like clones, and it was just showcasing that not all Jedi are these paragons, and he proved that too. But like he was just being a jerk. He was like Mace.a.Windu, where he didn't actually care about anybody or whatever like that. When he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna join Dooku," I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." Yeah. He's trying to be a Sith Lord now. But anyway, like from the action to the shock value to the beautiful animation, like that was like one of the greatest looking arcs I've ever seen. When they first land on Umbara and they're running through like the front lines and stuff like that, and Anakin's leading the charge before he gets sent back to Coruscant. But I gotta say that the saddest moment in there for me was Waxer. When Waxer dies, it's Pong Krell gave them faulty information, and he said, "Oh, some battle droids stole the 212th armor, and so now they're disguised as clone troopers. So you have to go kill them." And so the 501st and the 212th are shooting at each other and killing each other. Rex takes off one of their helmets, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And it's that moment where he realizes, like, this dude is terrible. This dude's a bad guy. And when he says goodbye to Waxer, Waxer's badly injured, and he talks to him, and he's like, "We thought they were wearing our armor, but it was," and he starts crying. He goes, "It was you." And then he dies. And I was like, bro, I hate this, and I love it, and I hate it, and I love it. And then the cherry on top was them fighting Krell, because that was
a force to be reckoned with.
Krell during Order 66 would have been just fine, because that man was an absolute, because he's the same race as Dex from Dexter's Diner in episode 2. So it's like watching like a McDonald's manager. Dex, like, he's killing all these clones, and the dude's jacked to hell. It's like this dude's huge, and this is
handling like 4 double-bladed lightsabers.
I was like, this is not real. Like, this dude, like, how did you get beaten? Because this is ridiculous. And he was terrifying the clones. Like, it's amazing that he was such a good villain for that arc. But that's by far my favorite. Close second is probably the this is how I feel. Your opinion on the Umbara arc is my opinion on this arc. It's Fives' arc where he tries to uncover Order 66, because Fives is my favorite clone like ever. Like I love him so much. I love his design. And watching him be so close, and from the very beginning that he has to fail.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the movie. We all know that this doesn't work out. And just watching Palpatine like go, "Oh no, help, guys!" And he's like, and it's like, oh. But yeah, his death hit me like an absolute freight train. I think I stopped watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I was like, I think I'm done. They were like, wait, there's one more arc. It's the Jar Jar arc. I'm like, I'm not watching that shit. I'm sorry.
I do like the Jar Jar arc.
It's okay, yeah.
If I ever get a face tattoo, it's gonna be Fives.
Right, I'm telling you, man. When I start losing my hair one day, I'm gonna design it so it looks like a little crescent.
I will say the Umbara arc. I think you're probably going to touch on it. I'm not sure if you were done or not, but that's the arc where Rex goes from, oh yeah, he's the most developed clones, because a lot of the clones are well-developed clones, but they're not their full character, to Rex being Rex.
Oh yeah.
It just takes Rex from already the best well-developed clone, because Clone Wars is about him, to being his own separate entity, where we don't consider Rex to be a clone anymore. We consider Rex to be Rex.
It's that moment when he walks out with all those 501st guys behind him, and he puts on the helmet. You're like, oh, this is real right here. This is real, man.
And that little clip gets a lot of TikTok views.
It sure does, man, because it's such an iconic shot.
So
man.
good.
Such an iconic shot.
But you're absolutely right. Like, it was absolutely a beautiful arc, visually stunning. That planet was stunning. We've never seen enemies that look like that, or their ships. Such a unique design, and all that was just beautiful. And also, when Pong Grill turned into like crazy ninja and would just like disappear, and then it would taunt them from the shadows, and you're like, oh my god!
You'll hear guys on comm leaks going, no sign of anything here. What? Oh shit! It's like,
not clear, not clear. The sector's not clear.
Clones are just built different, because my ass would have went right back home and sat in the corner. I would have been like, guys, I can't do this. This dude's nuts.
It's a lot like when I first started playing Battlefront 2, and I'm just walking around as a clone, and then you hear lightsabers. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah, you hear somebody spamming a mall emote. You're like, I'm not gonna beat him. I'm not gonna beat him.
But the question that gets brought up, right, is that so the clones are fighting a Jedi without the inhibitor chips activated. What do the inhibitor chips do? Because there's some Jedi that probably, like, I'm not saying, because most of the Jedi were ambushed and they couldn't tell, right? But there's got to be a few Jedi that were like just chilling, just having a good time, and then they get walked in and attacked, and they were ready to fight, and then prepared themselves. But man, the soullessness of the clones with the inhibitor chips, I think, to me personally, gets elevated because of the Umbara arc.
You know what I call
absolutely.
You know what I call the inhibitor chips? I think this is a good analogy. It reminds me a lot. Have y'all seen the first Kingsman?
No.
Yes.
The first Kingsman, that aggression chip where like you turn it up all the way and mothers will try and kill their babies. It's kind of like that to me. It's like, it's not necessarily making them completely brainwashed, in my opinion. Like, oh yes, we follow, but it's kind of like, I think when Tups malfunctioned, it kind of showcased that really well. Like, he would look over to, I think, Tiplar. Which one didn't get shot? Tiplar, the red one.
They're the same.
Over, what are you guys talking about? Like, I would never shoot it. And he's like, oh my God, like, what the hell? And so it's almost like an irrational, like, violent, like, almost primal, like, we need to kill you type of thing. And so people who would never in a million years do that because, like, if this was, I'm actually glad, and this is, sorry to kind of derail this, but, like, I'm actually glad why that they explained the inhibitor chips. A lot of people didn't like how they were like, why is there a chip in the clone? Like, I just liked how it was just them following. I was like, to be perfectly honest with you, if the clone troopers, if Palpatine was simply relying on them to be that loyal, half of the Grand Army of the Republic wouldn't have even followed Order 66.
Yeah.
They would have known about it because
have.
by that in the legends they would have known about it. They would have known about Order 66, been prepared to do it if necessary. But like if they fought for them for years and they have that rapport with them, some would be like, no, I'm not doing this. Or like the inhibitor chip was a good way to kind of explain why it was so successful, like across the board.
I mean, to me, the inhibitor chip has always been more like a piece of a blue painter's tape, right? So where the loyalty is on their brain, you put this piece of blue painter's tape. You can put layers and layers on top of it. They trust him and all this stuff, and then you pull it off, and it's blank again. You know what I mean? That loyalty part. That's just kind of how I've always thought about it. And it also, to touch on what I believe you said earlier, Jordan, it was one of the most important Rex arcs, definitely. But I would also argue that him meeting the trooper that ran and started a family.
Yes, forgot about
that's
that.
a good one.
When they're holding down the house and like, it's so good. You know, I would argue that was also a huge part of how Rex became Rex. And
that's one of the first seeds of like not discontent, but like free thinking outside of him being a clone trooper kind of first got into him. Like I've seen a lot of edits where people kind of use that scene where he's talking with his family and he's like, yeah, I have a duty, but it's to my family. It's not to some grand army of the Republic. It's to these people in front of me. And Rex, it clearly has a profound effect on him because by the end of the episode, if this was before he got injured, he would have arrested the dude for treason. Like you're a traitor, you deserted it. But now he's like, damn, I don't remember this at all. Like, hey guy who looks just like me, I guess I'll see you later then. And it was, that was, I agree with you, Brandon. That was the first, I think, seed of his growth.
Two things.
And then additional, go ahead, Jordan.
What happened to that guy's inhibitor chip when it went off?
He has never been talked
Must
about
kill
since.
Jedi.
Right.
His family's like, he's gone. I don't know where he went.
Right. He's like mowing his grass and he just has like a spaz attack in the middle of. They're like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, that's weird. Huh.
Well, something interesting happens in the comics in the Vader 2017, where the
series.
Purge troopers are actually all clones. And they are clones that have not, they were the very last run of clones. And they were created after Order 66. So they never had their inhibitor chips made active. So a bunch of Purge troopers and Inquisitors are hunting this last Jedi. And he says, execute Order 66. And they turn and start shooting at the Inquisitors because all the Inquisitors are Jedi.
Yep.
It's actually like
helmets. Yeah, he pulls off their helmets, sees that they're all clones, and he's like, you will execute Order 66. And it's like, whoa.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yep. And Palpatine heard about it, and he was like, that's it. No more clones. We're done. We are cutting their budget.
I also love the deception arc, right? When beardless Obi-Wan becomes a smuggler and is working alongside Cad Bane, mostly because I love Embo so much.
Embo's awesome.
He's so cool. And I watch him go through the box and all this stuff. But also seasons 4 through 6 we get a starkly different Anakin. That's when we see a lot of darkness in Anakin come out. When he thinks someone has killed Obi-Wan, man, like he almost killed Obi-Wan. Thinking
he was the guy that killed Obi-Wan. Took every bone in Obi-Wan's body to go, Anakin, please, no, stop. It's me.
But then also, I mean, we can't end this section without talking about the Ahsoka arc.
Yes.
And how amazing that story was told, and how it's so painful because no one was truly wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Jedis were forced into their position because of what happened. A bunch of clones died. Yes, we want to handle this in-house, but we can't because it's happened in a military installation. And how Tarkin is just a dick in general. I love Tarkin,
man.
but
I love Tarkin
that
too.
moment.
And also, I mean, we're not talking about season 7 yet, but if you rewatch that arc and then watch the Siege of Mandalore, there's so many scenes that are echoed in one another, from them running through the tunnels, through the way she's interacting with the gunships. One case they're chasing her, the other one she's arriving with them. There's so many things that are parallel in it, but yeah, it was just such a touching arc, especially once Ventress got involved, and
Right.
you got to see the seeds of what would become Ventress's redemption.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we got
I'm
that.
so mad we didn't get to see that on screen.
I know.
Man. Jeez.
I'm
good
a
book,
weirdo.
though.
I'm
It's
a
a
weirdo
damn
that
good
prefers
novel.
book. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a damn good novel. It's one of the best canon novels out there.
Absolutely. If you haven't read Dark Disciple, do it now, please. Has my full-on stamp of approval.
Write that down right now.
Check out the audiobook too. The audiobook's really good. The audiobook's really good.
Okay.
So, because Ventress has a heart, she could have taken Ahsoka down. She could have done a number of different things, but understood what it was like to be abandoned, and understood because she was a former Jedi Padawan.
Yeah.
She, and she actually, I don't know, it was beautiful. But sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
I will say this, and this is just a personal opinion I have. The books, because you saw it with, I don't know the name of it, the Siege of Mandalore with Ahsoka, the Ahsoka book. I think it's just called Ahsoka novel or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the Bad Batch is going to overwrite a lot of the books, because you can use the Bad Batch as Jedi, in the sense, not as Jedi, but you know how the Jedi were put into arcs, but they weren't centered around, but we just had the Jedi there to make, like the Waxer and Boyle finding Numa, right? Mace Windu's there because, it's Jedi and we have to include it for the kids that are watching this on Cartoon Network, but let's just put Mace Windu there so it looks pretty cool, right? I feel like they're going to do that with the Bad Batch and go, hey, there's the Bad Batch here, but it's not about them. It's Cad Bane and Boba Fett. It's the Ventress redone their arc a little bit differently, just to rewrite a few different things to put it on screen.
They've already soft retconned quite a few, not quite a few, that's a lie, but certain aspects of the Ahsoka young adult novel didn't happen the same way once you look at, like, when she mentions her fight with Maul, briefly mentions her fight with Maul or interaction with Maul, some of the stuff didn't happen exactly. The biggest difference is that her lightsabers aren't green. That was the biggest change that everybody kind of noticed. And as soon as she activated them in the celebration trailer, everybody was like, wow, that's so cool. Why are they blue? And it was like one of the craziest. And so that was a big one. But I don't think it'll be too – I don't think people will be too upset by it. No. Star Wars generally does a good job keeping that a tight ship in terms of canonity. Canosity? Canonness?
Yeah,
I think it's just canon.
But
canon. Oh, that's fair.
No, I agree 100% because they've already told us what to do in those cases. Like there is a hierarchy of movie, TV show, and I can't remember if comic is above novel or which one.
I think it is.
For instance, Rey meets Poe at the end of The Last Jedi in the novelization, but that didn't happen in the movie. At least they didn't keep that portion of the movie in the movie. So. Right. If there's a conflict, there's a hierarchy that we look up to. But I mean, any sort of the retcons that happen, it doesn't affect the content of it. And I look forward to seeing what the Bad Batch has, because it's not something I was asking for, but it is a time period I was definitely asking for. I want to know what happens in the post Order 66 empire, the fledgling empire. That's got to be awesome.
You know,
go ahead.
You know who I really need to know about in Bad Batch, and I think this is going to be the best and also last opportunity to really cover this person. I need to know what happened to Cody.
Yes.
I really need to know what happened to Cody.
Oh my God,
I am I love the followers that we have on TikTok. I am sick and tired of every time I mention Cody, they go, well, it was explained in the totally canon novel that he became a Camino instructor. That wasn't It wasn't canon. I don't even think it was canon back then.
No.
And they were like, yeah, so he pretty much was there the rest of his life. I was like, it's not what happened.
I'm not going to take it.
And they shut down Kamino like right afterwards.
Yeah.
He just disintegrated. Yeah. So I really want them to explore whether he has remorse, or it'd be really cool if he didn't have remorse. Maybe he's one of the, because Cody's always been like, he's a badass, but like he's always been like, this is so mean because he used to be my favorite clone, but he used to be like that one clone that showed up super early to a meeting.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, oh God, Cody's here.
Yeah.
Hey, Cody, what's going on, bro? And he has this giant stick up his behind. And it's like, I love Cody, but like out of all of them, he would be the one clone. If somebody said, which one would have no issue with Order 66? Cody. Yeah. He loved Obi-Wan. He's like, when have I ever let you down? Fire! And it's like
he's like the teacher's pet that in school when you're always doing when you have the group assignment and you just have all your friends and you want to do something fun, right? And you get the straight A student on your group project and you're trying to do this super cool thing and they're like, no, this is the rubric. We have to do it to the rubric.
Yeah. He's the guy that Dogma's the one that reminds people, the teacher, about the homework. Fox is the guy in the back that ruins everybody's lives. But anyway, Cody always struck me as a type of clone that like I just feel like Palpatine, like the only one that Palpatine actively contacted with real-time footage because Cody didn't have an inhibitor chip. Cody was waiting for the moment to go, nah, bro. Fire. Yeah.
Wait,
he's like, hey, yeah, Commander Cody, time has come.
No, he
and Cody's like, okay. He's like, shit, is he the one that didn't have it? Oh no, he's fine. He's fine. No, I love Cody.
One moment always jumps out to me, and it's in the Matthew Stover novelization of Revenge of the Sith, which if you haven't read that one, please read. It's of all novelizations.
There's a lot of novels that I need to catch up on, so I'm definitely writing that one.
It is so good. But when Cody gets contacted, so Cody is like, hey, Obi-Wan, you forgot your lightsaber. It gives it to him. Obi-Wan starts riding off, and then he gets contacted Order 66, and Cody's like, I wish you had told me this before I gave him back his bloody lightsaber.
I love that scene.
It's one of my favorite moments. Like,
there's another moment in the novel. What I love about the novel is they enhance like literally every scene from the movie.
Everything.
So, like, it's like you're experiencing the movie, but it's like how it should have been almost. Like if you had a 4-hour Star Wars Revenge of the Sith movie.
You get to hear the thoughts of every person in every
perspective,
scene,
and so you're like, "Oh my god, that makes so much sense!" Like,
wow,
Mace Windu and Palpatine's fight has like an entire 3 chapters dedicated to it, and it's like Mace Windu embracing Vapad.
Oh yeah.
Somebody corrected me on TikTok. They were like, "It's not how you pronounce it." I was like, "Guys, I'm sorry."
I've done that.
But it's like they explain fully how he taps into that without embracing the dark side, and it's so hard to explain how he does it without embracing the dark side.
Yeah,
and the answer is simply because he's that good. Like that's literally how good he is, because every other Jedi who has tried it has eventually succumbed to that aggressive dark side kind of enhancing force. But there's another funny scene where it's the scene where Bail Organa shows up to the Jedi Temple. And he's like, what's going on? And like, they go,
oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, sir, it's time for you to leave. And Bail Organa shows up and he's like, what's going on here? And they're like, well, sir, there's been a rebellion. And he's like, well, is everybody okay? He's like, yeah, it's fine, but you're going to have to go back to your ship. And he's like, well, I'd still like to take a look around. I'm a senator from Alderaan. And the clone goes, yes, sir. And he's just like, and in Bail Organa's thoughts, he goes, well, when you put it that way.
It's like just slowly going away.
I was driving in rain at that part, and I almost had to park my car because I was laughing. So I was like, no, they didn't just throw that. He's like, yes, sir. It's like, what? Imagine you're talking to a really respectful army like sergeant. They're like, well, sorry, sir, this thing is blocked off, and you're like, well, I work here and I need to go there. And he's like, I understand, sir. Get back in your car. And you're just like, okay, all right, cool. Yep, gotcha. Yep. The novelization of Revenge of the Sith is absolutely incredible.
So not to go on a full just novelization tangent.
You're fine.
I could
fine.
just talk about that. It's so good.
We could.
But
we could do a whole episode on it.
When Yoda and Obi-Wan infiltrate the temple, I even made a TikTok on this. They go through the bottom layers and they're kind of working their way up. And in order to get past them, Obi-Wan pretends to be like a drooling, slack-jawed, like homeless guy wrapped up, carrying a baby. And then the clone trooper looks at it and is like, "This is the ugliest goddamn baby I've ever seen." And it's Yoda in the bundle.
I didn't know that.
That's how they. It's so there's so many like awesome ones. But all right, so we weren't talking about the Bad Batch, but jumping into season 7.
Can I go with my favorite arc real quick? I don't think I ever got into it.
Oh, sorry, dude. So sorry. Yeah,
no, we just had like a great conversation. That was like we just had a whole Cody segment, a Bad Batch segment.
Oh my god! I can't wait to rewatch this. I'm gonna.
Oh my god, dude, so good. Okay, so I have the weirdest favorite arcs on this one because they're just so different.
Yeah.
First off, I have to agree with George Lucas. It's the D Squad. When they're just in the desert, like, it's not good. It's terrible. Like, it's a terrible arc. It's so bad in so many ways. But you can just sit there and appreciate how bad it is and just sit there and be like, wow, I really enjoy this. You know, it's just enjoyable. Because you're not watching it to see a good story. You're watching it to just see the ridiculousness of it. And it just shows how crazy Clone Wars can be. I don't know if Josh is laughing.
I think you killed Josh.
And it's George Lucas's vision. And I said this the other day, J.C. Brady, if he's watching this, we had this conversation, like an hour conversation on this, right? You know what I think that arc is? And what George Lucas thought when he was making that arc? You know how in A New Hope, C-3PO and R2-D2 were supposed to walk around for 40 minutes and do absolutely nothing? That arc is literally what the first 40 minutes of A New Hope were supposed to be.
Yep.
And I watch it, I'm like, thank God someone told. Sorry, thank you, somebody in the production office, for telling George Lucas we do not need 40 minutes of this. We just need a solid 5.
It was probably his wife.
Probably.
His wife, as far as I'm concerned, his wife saved Star Wars.
Yes. Because the D Squad arc is literally what was supposed to be the original parts of New Hope. And the little guy, I forget his name. The little guy, he is such a pain in the ass, but he's so funny.
The droid or the actual guy?
The actual guy.
Oh, Colonel Gascon.
Yeah, Colonel Gascon.
Yeah.
And the droid that they meet along the way who's trying to take charge of it. Yeah, the whack. And then you have all the astromechs, and you're just watching it just like, why is this a thing?
Yeah. He said, I'm a whack droid. I was like, I'm about to turn this TV off. And then I said, oh my God.
And then for some reason, doesn't like, was also the arc where like R2-D2, is that in the arc where R2-D2 and C-3PO? No, that's a different arc.
R2's in it.
Yeah, R2's in it. And we're just watching like, is this what R2 does without Anakin on his free time?
And R2 was running point, yo. R2 was running point.
And then, the other arc I really... Oh, do you want to say something about this arc?
Yeah, just real quick. At the same time, the end of that arc was where we met that other clone that lost his memory and was
Gregory.
like...
Ooh, Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory.
I was going to say...
That saved the entire arc. I was getting ready to turn it off.
And Gregory's sacrifice is just another one. Well, obviously, it's retconned by Rebels. You're just like, why have I met you for all of 45 minutes and I absolutely love you? That's the one thing. Like, you're such a throwaway character, but you just become not a meme, just like a hero, like a figure we all love in Star Wars. But you're a nobody. You are literally dead.
That arc is one of the arcs where you have to check and be like, am I on drugs?
Yeah. My friend.
This is still happening.
My friend, he got into Clone Wars. He was a super big Star Wars fan, but he got into Clone Wars like super late. Like, we were seniors in high school when he got into the Clone Wars. So this was probably 2 years after it got canceled on Cartoon Network. And so the entire show up to that point was out already. So we pretty much got on Netflix back when it was on Netflix and sat at his house and rewatched the entire thing. We got to season, what was it, 4 or 5?
5.
It was 5. It was the last season.
It may have been 4.
I think it was 5. It was the last one. And so we were watching it. He was so bored. He was like, Josh, do I have to watch this one? I was like, Just watch.
Oh
Now,
my God.
I didn't realize that the guy was like, I got into Republic Commando later on, so I didn't realize that he was literally designed exactly like the video game Republic Commando clone troopers. So when he watches it, he's like, yo, that's the DC, that's the thing, that's the thing. Josh, why didn't you tell me that this was in the episode? And I was just like, I didn't know. And he was like, well, you said you saw it before. I was like, I didn't know it was the guy. And dude, I showed him the scene where the Republic Commando squad have a cameo, and dude, he almost jumped out of his window. He was like, are you kidding me, Josh? Are they in anymore? I was like, nope. He's like,
here's another thing that's so ridiculous about the arc, right? So I remember vividly remembering this. I turned the TV off the first time I saw this arc, like when I was a little kid, right? There are 3 different colors for the opening scroll of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, right? It is the regular Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Whenever Maul's in there, it's red. And for some reason, it is light blue for those 4 episodes where it is the droid arc. And it's given special treatment in the opening crawl where it's blue text for no reason. You're thinking something so cool is going to happen. It's just like that arc. And it's just crazy. Oh my God. And then
you were going to tell us another arc that you liked?
Yeah, this is like a quick little thing, but the Young Jedi arc, I don't know why I have such a nostalgia for it. I have such nostalgia for it because I just vividly remember watching it. And it's just cool seeing Ahsoka as like a master figure instead of a Padawan figure.
mm-hmm.
And then interesting to see.
And it's just really cool. I don't know. There's not much to say about it because it's such a simple arc, but there's a lot to pick with it. But I think we should probably get going. I'll pick down that arc.
Well, also,
really cool arc.
Gungi's lightsaber hilt is
yes.
fire.
I wanted to say it, but you went right before me. That is a cool lightsaber arc.
So, real quick, did Ahsoka do the right thing by leaving the Jedi Order?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, that was one of the questions from.
We
the
can
chat,
we can expand on it. I mean,
I would love to expand on that.
Yeah. I think that's a good question to expand on. Yeah.
And if you guys hadn't noticed, I keep picking the next one of you guys to expand. So, Josh, it's your turn.
Sure. I mean, I think I know hindsight's 20/20, but even at the time, I was like, that was probably for the best because she had like you said, Brandon, everybody kind of had a good point during that entire arc. Mm-hmm. They made a good point. But from her perspective, I totally understood why she was 100% done with the Jedi Order and how they handled it. I completely understand. That is your family. That is who you know. That is all you know. So for them to go, I mean, the Jedi Order wouldn't have been necessarily.
Bye-bye.
What happened?
Yeah. No, just them to say bye-bye to
yeah, literally, yeah. For them to go, yeah, we're expelling you, and so that the Republic doesn't get mad at us. That's like a really, really big betrayal in her eyes, and even in the viewer's eyes. We were like, that's terrible. And it's not just Anakin being overzealous and being upset, because even Obi-Wan, who's one of the most reserved and big picture guys probably on the council, he had a serious issue with it. He was like, I don't think this is the right call. And so when they all look at the evidence, they're like, oh, she had the explosives here, she had the explosives here, and Kenobi the entire time is going, but we're not considering she would never do this. Like, we're not considering the fact she is Anakin's Padawan. They're cut from the same cloth. They would never, and I know knock on wood because Anakin turned to the dark side, but for reasons that we understand why, he would never bomb the Jedi Temple, put it that way. And so for them to immediately go, well, when we look at the evidence, the guys who are spiritual leaders of the world say, well, look at the hard evidence. Like, really, guy, like, you haven't meditated on this. It's kind of your thing. And like, and so I totally understand.
You didn't like foresee this, dude. Like,
And I remember watching it for the first time, and I remember he's offering her the Padawan braid again, and in the back of my head, I knew I was like, she's gonna walk away. She's gonna walk away. I don't know how long or how short that period's gonna be, but she's going to leave. She's not gonna come back. I love Mace Windu.
You have to
explanation. His explanation was one of the
this was your trial or whatever.
Yeah, this was actually your great trial. I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
bro.
all right, buddy.
An apology would be nice. Like I sat there and I saw the look on her face. I was like, yep, that's the reason she's leaving.
Yeah.
Because they don't look at it like, damn, we screwed you over. I think Plo Koon and Obi-Wan were the only two that legitimately apologized to her.
Yeah.
And it's Plo Koon because he has such a deep affection for her.
Yes.
And Plo Koon's a bro, Plo's bro. And Obi-Wan is an absolute angel. So we knew he always is going to be like, oh my gosh, bro. And then, of course, Anakin never had anything to do with that final decision because she never would have gotten kicked out in the first place if it was up to him. So for her to leave, I wasn't surprised, and I thought it was good. Yeah. It was a damn sad episode.
Yeah, no, it was very sad.
And Jordan, your thoughts on it?
So I think it was really good. Like I think how am I gonna say this? I think also from a storytelling perspective, I think that's one of those things where you look at the genius storytelling of everything because it's really paralleling what Anakin could have and should have done. If you think about it, this is Anakin's Padawan. Anakin could have walked away from the Jedi Order, but before Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order, I feel like as fans and as people watching it, we were like, you can either turn to the dark side or you're just a Jedi. You can't leave. Like I'm watching that, I'm like, wait, you can leave? Like you can just say no? Again, so I don't read comics, so I know like eventually they kick people out of the Order and all that. But from watching it from like a very base level thing, it's like, wait, why didn't Anakin just leave? He didn't like it. He could have just lived a happy life with his wife and just been like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And the voice acting, and when he says, "I understand wanting to leave the Order,"
she goes, "I know." And I remember when I heard that for the first time, my immediate thought was, I don't know if this is exactly what she was referring to, but I was like, I want to think, my headcanon wants to think so bad that she's subtly saying, "Hey, I know about you and Padme, by the way. I get why you want to. I get those feelings." And that's why I looked at Anakin and his reaction to her saying that. It's almost like him saying, "Wait, did you know?" And then she walks away before he can probably inquire. And I'm just like, I wonder if that was one of the reasons she said that.
Well, I think,
like, believe me,
it's possible.
I think everyone says about Ahsoka and Anakin is like her father / big brother figure. Nobody even says, hey, wait, Padme's like her mother / big sister. They have so much screen time together and do so much together.
Oh, yeah, they do work together.
They basically raise Ahsoka, like in a mother-father type of way, plus big sister and big brother type of way. Like, that's the relationship they would have had with Luke and Leia if they grew up under their guidance.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
That's a damn good point.
I just think it goes so under, like if you guys want to talk about this, like, on your accounts and stuff, like, just, like, obviously whatever, but, like, I've seen nobody talk about it, right? And Padme is her mother. Like, it really is. They do so much together, and there's so many arcs. Like, even the politics arcs, which I love. They never stick out one another, but the politics arcs are very good. Think about
is it the one where Aura Singh tries to assassinate Padme?
Yeah.
I was even thinking about that.
I think you're thinking of the Lux Bonteri. Everything.
Oh, is that the one I'm thinking of?
Oh, gotcha. No, I'm not even thinking that. I'm thinking of the blue virus one.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
the blue virus.
That, it's like, even that's a politician arc, but it's just so underrated. You think about that, and you look, it's like Ahsoka, and it's like her big sister and her mother, and they're doing their thing together. Like, one of the examples of so much screen time together, and nobody realizes that dynamic.
Yeah. No, it's very true. I mean, I personally, when I hear that, I think of the first arc where she meets Lux Bonteri and his mom, and she gets to see that war is a hell of a lot more complicated than these are the bad guys. Let's kill them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's super important. But Zach, on you for the
quick thing about Lux.
Sure.
Right? Was Ahsoka and Lux's dynamic, right? That dynamic between Ahsoka and Lux. I wish it was played up more because it's such a good dynamic, but we didn't get to see the end of it. And Rebels coming out after Clone Wars, because season 7, there's supposed to be 8 seasons, 9 seasons of Clone Wars, and then it got canceled due to Disney buying in, just kind of having to reset everything. I wish in Rebels Lux got shown. It was just one of those things I wish.
So there is in book form the end of Lux's arc.
I know.
Okay, all right. But read Inferno Squad, especially if you've played Battlefront 2. The Inferno Squad book is really good.
So much better.
But yeah, Zach, your thoughts on Ahsoka leaving the Order?
Oh yeah, no, I'll be very quick and brief with it. It's just that arc is one of those arcs that you can't stop watching because you hope something else just comes out of it. You know, like you just hope like, oh, maybe if she wouldn't have done this, or the Jedi Council would have done this, thought of this way. It's just like there's so many levels to it that it's just like she just. I mean, not that she does it on purpose, but it's just more so like she just keeps digging her grave more and more, like working with Asajj Ventress. In the Jedi Council's eyes, that is seen as treason. But like they don't understand that like with Asajj, she is trying to redeem herself and like try to in a way help out the Jedi Order in a sense. But yeah, no, it's just so heartbreaking to see someone like Ahsoka grow up to be a perfect, like, if not like cookie cutter of a Jedi, and just to see that all fall apart just by one little mistake and other people's that wasn't hers. Yeah, so
also. Can TikTok just, if you're listening, take a lesson. When you're listening to this, take a lesson, TikTok. I get Pankral takes so much hate. Can we just give it to Barris? Because Barris deserves everything Ponk gets and more.
You know what? Okay. This is my.
You can disagree with me, but like.
No. I agree that she's worse than Pankral, but to me, the worst character is the stupid shark head dude. And
my god!
Oh yeah,
that guy is
4.0.
That guy is the worst. First of all,
pisses me off the most about him.
I hate watching him
name.
swim.
His name.
What was his name?
His name is Riff Tampson. What are you, a bully in a high school drama? Who are you?
From the 80s.
It's like you will never be able. You could kill me. You could kill me. You could never intimidate me. Go up to me. I'm like, dude,
with that name, no.
Sir, Mr. Riff Tampson, you
sit down.
You are a walking, talking shark.
Yeah,
I will never be scared of you.
That is pretty scary.
Your name is trying too hard.
Somebody literally cropped a great white shark head onto a long, slender man body. You will never intimidate me. You may kill me.
Oh man.
Even better, take Grease, the movie Grease, and take one of like the bikers jackets and all that. Edit a Photoshop out and put Rip Tampson on there with the same name.
Who's the main bad guy in Grease?
It makes sense.
Replace his name with Riff Tampson. The movie will go the same way.
No, exactly.
You guys, Riff Tampson got beat. It'll go over everybody's head. Yeah,
it's such a sick name too, but it's been on a swimming.
It sounds like a character name in Back to the Future, like Biff's younger brother or something.
Oh gosh, it's Riff Tampson, and then the guitar. You're like, here comes Riff Tampson. It's like, oh my god.
No, and I just put John.
Can we all agree that the coolest name is Zach Bravo?
Stop
it. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Legit.
Badass.
I was like, that's an awesome name. And then that's his actual name. That's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that my name is actually Zach Bravo.
Well, it's because we grew up watching The Simpsons and we saw when his name was Max Power.
True, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
an awesome name, bro.
Thank
Your
you.
parents done good, man. I bet your dad.
Yeah, my parents did do a pretty good job.
Your dad was probably like, in the birth certificate, Mr. Zach Bravo, and he's like, yeah.
That's right. I made that.
That's me.
Actually, legitimately, my half brother's middle name is Awesome. That's
Awesome.
That's something my dad did. Yeah.
Your dad was really proud of that, wasn't
he? Yeah. Anyways, so
what's next,
jumping
Siege?
into season 7. Season 7. So we have the Bad Batch. We have Ahsoka's Walkabout and the Siege of Mandalore. Let's be honest. We're talking Siege, but
we're talking
Siege. Just real quick. The what's their face sisters? I forget the name.
I don't care about them at all.
But let's at least put together that between that arc, between the Umbara arc, and also with Ahsoka leaving, it actually puts a different light on the Jedi Order, which is always seen as good, right? It's always seen as good, but we know that even though they are the good guys, they are not flawless, and they have lots and lots of issues and troubles because of how they believe. And so those two girls, their parents were murdered, that were killed in, because a Jedi steered, a car, and it was
Luminara.
Yeah, it was Luminara.
It was Luminara.
Yeah.
She, instead of steering this into traffic, steered into a building where people live there. And it goes to show you that there's the other side to all these stories. And it's one of the reasons I love Star Wars so much, is every single person you see has their own story, their own life. They have a job, they have dreams, they have goals, and all this stuff. And if you're like, oh, this is going to traffic, let me change it to this wall instead, someone lives there. And we got to see the aftermath of that, and they don't like the Jedi. And we get to see firsthand of how just the general public is not in love with the Jedi Order, because every time they show up, it's war and it's death. They are not protecting peace.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Can I expand on that incident a little bit more? Because Luminara had terrible tact in that situation.
She has terrible tact in all situations.
She's honestly one of my least interesting Jedi. I cannot stand her.
Our Padawans are buried in the ground.
And when she says,
"Let's go,"
and when when they hinted that it was her, I knew in my heart that it was her. I was like, I know they're gonna pick a recognizable Jedi, and I know in my heart that they're gonna make it Luminara, because they know that she is probably. Anyway, it's what she says to her after the death of their parents. She goes, what did she say? I had a choice and I made it. Cool, bro. So who's paying for my parents' funeral?
May
the force be with you.
Yeah. You too, bro. And I just sat there and I was just like, she did not just, oh my God.
And in Rebels, when they use her, we're talking spoilers all over the place. In Rebels, when they use her bones to lure Jedi in, I'm just like, you know what? That's what you get, Luminara.
I guess, yeah. In a way, that's like her in purgatory or something like that.
Also, like, I watch Rebels. Luckily, for the most part, spoiler free. Like, the little things weren't spoiled for me, but like the larger things were spoiled. But when I heard Luminara's name in Rebels, I'm just thinking to myself, she's gonna be locked up. Kanan and Ezra are going to go save her, and she's literally going to go, this is what the Force willed me to do. Leave. I will stay here. I'm not getting rescued. Luckily, it was not that.
That's very on brand for her.
Very on brand.
Yeah, back to that situation. I just rolled my eyes. I was like, were you Mace.'s Padawan by chance?
But also going back to what Brandon said, that, like, yes, once I would say, like, the little story that we have, like, with what's Ahsoka been up to before the Siege of Mandalore, we have that amazing segue, just transition, because I actually didn't know how we were going to get into the Siege of Mandalore once Bo-Katan comes in and be like, listen, so real shit is happening right now, and we need you to come with. So I would say, like, it was a really good, I didn't think it was really needed, but until that little segue, I was like, oh, okay, I see what we needed to do there.
I understand why the Bad Batch and the Ahsoka arc happened. Like, they chose those two arcs to lead into Siege because they fit really well. Yeah. They fit terribly well. Yeah.
Also, the Bad Batch, they knew, like, let's be honest, they knew if it got a good reception, it's getting a show, right? It was, I think at Lucasfilm, it was, are we going to do a Bad Batch show or are we going to do a Martez show? Right, I think it was. Which one are we doing?
That was probably the quickest discussion in the history of Lucasfilm storyboard.
Yeah, but
like a quick phone call. Hey, George, what are you thinking? Oh, Bad Batch.
I think a Bad Batch is a pretty good option.
We could do a story about super cool clones, super mutant clones, or do a series about drug smuggling sisters, which we've seen in Solo. Which one are we choosing? But that's what I think was why we got Martez and why we got Bad Batch. Two brand new characters, a chance to get a new series, and which one are we doing? That's what I think was the internal discussion with Lucasfilm with that. And I mean, then again, just theories and all that, but that was a quick discussion.
Yeah, it definitely was.
I mean, I play Overwatch, and so I already understand not Tracer and not not
Tracer. Is Tracer hated like that?
No. I just mean the Martez sisters were clearly
Sombra.
Tracer and Sombra.
Sombra.
Like, just vaguely not them. Oh.
I ticked off my buddy because he actually really liked the younger one and in the arc. And like I was like, it's her hair that pisses me off. It's just her hairstyle. Yeah. It bothers. It looks like a piece of broccoli was stuck to her head, and I was just like, I can't. And he was like, stop being mean. I'm like, I'm not being mean. It's her hairstyle. I'm not. It's not even that she's annoying. It's just like this isn't working. Like
I have been raised to believe that both of their hairstyles are indications of Karens. So,
mad Karen energy.
So it's prejudice on my part, and I apologize. And just one quick other note is that the season 6 Yoda arc also is another case that showed the Jedi's hubris, because Yoda showed up to that planet certain that you guys don't have anything to teach me. I've already let go of all this stuff, and they're like, no,
you haven't.
Afraid of it.
Yep.
You're afraid of it. That means you haven't let go. You've pushed it aside, but it's still a problem. But anyways, that's besides the point. I want to jump and start with...
One comment on that?
I'm going to start with you anyways. So go ahead and talk about that arc, but then I also want you to get into season 7.
Yeah, because I know we're running out of time. One thing, that arc's underrated. That's all I was going to say. It's very underrated. But yeah.
And your thoughts on season 7, Clone Wars?
Mandalore, or are we talking the other two?
Whatever you want.
Siege of
your
Mandalore.
Favorite.
Yeah, Siege of Mandalore, I do not view as a Star Wars The Clone Wars episodes, right? I view that as episode 10, well, 2.75. It is, or really like episode 2.99999, right?
Yeah.
It is
2.66. We'll maybe do that.
It is the best Star Wars movie ever made, hands down, no question. Again, controversial opinion. I think if you put it standalone as a movie, it is the best movie ever made in Star Wars.
I'd watch that at the movie theaters, totally.
Oh, I would totally. I'd give them ticket money to donate to that.
Totally, absolutely.
I'm so mad because I was supposed to move in a different apartment complex that had a movie theater. Just weird. It was a weird amenity they had. They just had a movie theater, and I planned with friends to go put it on the big screen and watch it.
Pandemic.
And then the pandemic, basically, they stopped construction. No. They stopped the construction on the apartment, so now I'm in this one. But that would have been so cool to see on the big screen. That is the best Star Wars movie ever created. I mean, there's so much. You can do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So good. And then, Zach, your thoughts on it?
I mean, the Siege of Mandalore. Come on. I mean, I'm going back to my boy Darth Maul, baby. No, because it's just like, I mean, just the fighting alone, and the fighting was so great. Oh the mocap. They really used mocap for that. And I remember I was talking to my friends, and they were saying like the CGI was a bit weird, wasn't it? And I was like, it was. It almost looked like almost too realistic. And then we found out like it was mocap, which I appreciated even more. Actually, when I even found out that they even called back Ray Park to reprise the role, like for all that action stuff, I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy for him that he's like still working.
The Superman punch and all that.
Yes. Oh my god, I literally bought a double-bladed like stunt saber just to do it. just to do that, because that move was so badass. To start the fight like that, I was like, oh, he's going in. I see the Padawan needs a new lesson. Thank you. Because it's like 10 o'clock where I'm at, I cannot stream Kenobi. I will wake up my parents and my grandmother. So another time. You can check out my TikTok. I have plenty of videos with that. But no. So, but again, I would say like it also kind of goes back to Ahsoka's arc when she's trying to redeem herself, like with the Order, and trying to be like, hey, listen, I didn't do any of this. Maul kind of recalls that back and being like, wasn't there a moment where like you felt like you were just like not even a part of this? Well, me too, you know? Yeah. And you start to see them kind of like match up a little bit. And then that makes you wonder. I was like, it made me wonder, definitely. It was like, oh, like, is Ahsoka gonna do this? Like, but then she was like,
she gonna take his hand?
Yeah, and I wanted her to so badly.
That would
So
have been a hell of
badly.
a story, man.
That would have been. Oh my god.
Every good villain, in my opinion, in all storytelling, is one that you can look at and say, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're nuts, but I do agree that these are valid points.
And we're watching this knowing what's going to happen, and we're just like, Darth Maul, you're right. Ahsoka, please do it.
I think the thing was that, I mean, Maul was flawed in this too, because like he knew something was happening, but he didn't know exactly
the full
what it
picture.
was.
Sidious never gave him the full picture.
No. And that's how you know like how smart Sidious is with this entire thing, is that like he knew that most of his Sith Lords, like Dooku, Maul, before then, like he knew that they were just like pawns in a chess game.
I do like quick segue. I do like how it sounds like both in Legends and in canon continuity, Maul was kind of like the closest that Palpatine probably came before Anakin Skywalker.
Totally,
absolutely.
He was probably absolutely the closest one to being like, yeah, that's my guy right there. Because when he finally died, I remember there was a book where Palpatine was like, yeah, that was a setback. And for him to admit, like, that sucks that I lost him. It says a lot about, like, oh, yeah, I absolutely was planning on having him. Now, whether his ultimate plan was to take over his body or whatever, but that was supposed to be his guy. So for Maul to kind of, like, even though he didn't have the full picture, he probably had every single piece of the puzzle except the ones that really made sense. And that's probably why he was like, no, I know that this is the end. And for him immediately – go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
For him to immediately, right after like the clones try and shoot him, for him to immediately realize like, oh my God, that's how he did it. That's how he did it. He turned the clones again. For him to immediately recognize that, it's how close he was to knowing the full picture.
It's
What's going on?
It's that moment like he's released from the Mandalorian chamber and he's like,
It's like you motherfuckers.
He was like,
crazy son of a bitch. Yeah.
The hallway scene.
Oh,
please.
The hallway scene, man. I will stand by it, and I've made this into a TikTok video. Darth Maul did the hallway scene first, and you cannot tell me any different. You cannot tell me any different. I know Rogue One came before.
I remember how I felt in that Rogue One scene. How dare you?
I was scared, but no. If we're gonna go,
no, that's fine. I agree with you. I'm with you.
No, you're right. And
go ahead. Just say hello there first.
That's true as well. No, but no, that scene with Maul is everything, because again it shows the brilliance of the character.
Yes.
He put together everything that was going on. You know, when he created his whole empire, he's like, I just wanted to show you that I could do this. I'm still useful. And then, you know, Palpatine's like, yeah, but now you're a rival. So,
boom.
Peace out.
Oh
but
it's very much that,
but
that
even,
TikTok audio. It's that TikTok audio. It's like, you know the rules, and so do I. Say goodbye.
That's not even a TikTok audio. That's an actual song.
No.
That's awesome.
No, but, man, I mean, they gave a character that had one line of dialogue the entire movie. At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we'll have our revenge. Gave him so much depth, because he was the actual chosen heir. He was the chosen Padawan. And a lot of people downplay it as, you know, he was just like a feral assassin or whatever. He wasn't that powerful in the Force. He was just like, no. The reason that he doesn't use the Force when he fights a lot is because he doesn't need to, and he'd rather kill you with his bare hands than with anything else. He's way underrated. And it wasn't until Palpatine met Anakin that he started using his apprentices as pawns. Maul was the heir. Palpatine lost it when he died.
Palpatine looked at Maul like that was his guy. Like he literally, and I think I'd even argue, this is probably more headcanon than actual canon, But I'd even argue that Maul probably had a certain reverence for Sidious more so than any Sith would normally have reverence for the Master. Because I never had this. I never got this sense in any form of media from Maul that Maul had a sense of like anger or hatred for Palpatine. I think he always looked at Palpatine like a kind of, in a really weird way, like a father figure. Like I think he really looked at him like a father figure.
I mean, he was taken as a very young child.
Yeah, like no Sith was really brought up like that before. Palpatine would have taken somebody like 25 years old, or like he's known two other apprentices, and both of them were fully grown men. Dooku, who was probably older than Palpatine. And Anakin, who is significantly younger but still a grown man. Maul like was his son in a weird way. And so and I've every single time I've seen them interact, I've never had this sense of like, you know how you can tell even with Vader's emotionless face, you can tell like Vader's giving him the massive side eye.
Oh, totally.
Like he's like he's going, the only reason I haven't broken your neck is because I hate my life more than I hate you. Like that's literally the only reason. Dooku means to an end. Dooku probably looked at Palpatine almost like a what do you call it? A contemporary more so than a he probably acknowledged that he was stronger than him because that's why he was the apprentice. But he probably looked at him like a contemporary, like we can see eye to eye. Maul looked at him like, wow, that's my master. Like that's my guy. And so for him to immediately, as soon as he sees Sidious, in the Clone Wars, for him to immediately go, "Oh my God, Master, I'm so glad you're here," instead of going like, "Ha ha, it was me, Dio," or like some JoJo shit.
I need a one.
And so for him, it shows that he still had that level of immense respect for him, even though he made his own empire. He's either looking at him he's either still terrified of him, he still respects him, or both. And I think it was.
I would say both because even when he would say like, "Oh my God," I would say like the first part of the 4 parts of the Siege of Mandalore, he takes a breath just before he even says the word Sidious.
Yep.
It's like he needs to take himself back because like that's how much of an effect he has on him.
Yep.
That's also reflected in Rebels because his name is not Maul.
It's right. He never was.
He doesn't remember his name.
Yeah.
His life began when he was under Maul. Like I don't know.
I wish we got the Maul comic animated.
That would have been another good one to see in the Clone Wars.
Son of
Dathomir.
Yeah,
that's a great comic.
I need to read it, but I know the gist of it. I just wish Disney would do these one-off like animation things.
Yeah.
Like Galaxy of Adventures.
I've never seen that, but no, just like
Galaxy of Adventures is dope.
We did a full movie.
Wait, is that the anime? Is that like the anime?
Yeah, Dante Bosco voices them
good.
over. He's like in Galaxy of Adventures,
which is super weird for me.
They reenact the big moments from the movies, like Darth Vader and Luke's duel, Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Somebody put in the Reddit comment, and I agreed with him wholeheartedly. He was like, "So we're getting a show in this style, right?" Because somebody made a good point. They were like, when they said that Resistance was going to be inspired by a lot of anime style, they were like, "This is kind of what I had in mind." Like, not like, oh, he's designed like an anime character and then it's cell shaded animation. They were just like, what? But nah, man.
While we're at it, Josh, go ahead. Your thoughts on the season 7?
Oh, dude. So my friend and I watched it together. It was right before the pandemic got really bad. We were kind of irresponsible. We watched it at his house. It was right before. I know, right? Oh my God, I'm fired now. They were like, no, it was right before the pandemic got pretty bad, and so we were. I watched it at his house. We watched it at our own houses, and then we met up afterwards in like the middle of the night. I remember. Now. Yeah, that's what it was. And so we watched it. We started live texting, but then we were so immersed that we were kind of just like, oh my God, we'll talk after. And so the opening battle was great. One of the first things I noticed was the quality, even compared to the other season 7. I was like, the scene, like when they did the opening reel and they show like all the jet. I was like, dude, I told Nate, I told my friend, I was like, dude, this is different. Like, this is entirely different than what we've
Yeah.
seen. Like, we saw Aayla Secura on Felucia. We saw Plo Koon flying, and I was like, oh, that's where they die. That's where they die. That's where they die. And so, and then we see Gar Saxon from Rebels, and we're like,
Yes.
dude, we see the chick, not Sabine's mother,
Oh.
Rook
Bo-Katan?
Cast. Rook Cast.
Yeah.
She was the other one of Maul's lieutenant Mandalorian.
Which, by the way, is that a reference to Jodo Cast?
I'm
Do you
pretty
guys
sure.
remember that?
I'm pretty
Possible.
sure.
Are they trying to
Possible.
canalize Jodo Cast?
I'm pretty sure. It's probably from that same family, right? Probably
Sounds
the
like
clan,
it.
So
clan or something. But from that moment up into every single big moment in that arc, I was like, this is a history-making Star Wars moment because this is the first time we're finally seeing it. From the opening battle to Anakin seeing Ahsoka again for the first time. To I remember how numb I got when I realized that this really is a supplement to Revenge of the Sith. When Obi-Wan comes back and goes, the Chancellor got kidnapped, I was like, oh my
like
God.
we're in it. We're in
I
it
was
now.
like, we're in the movie. We're in the movie. This is like right before the
Yes.
dun, dun. I was like, oh my God. And so,
Yeah.
and then it kind of hit me like a truck when that moment when he has to leave. And I was like, that's going to be the last time he sees her. Because
Oh.
from that moment on, Anakin's Hayden Christensen now. You know what I'm saying? Like he's movie Anakin.
Yep.
And then the other big part, the two more big parts, the other big part was Order 66 because the music that played leading up to it was so eerie.
Oh.
Yes.
You knew it was coming. It was called Shattered.
Oh, there's a phone call for you.
He was like, "You want to see the next briefing?" And that would have been the most awkward briefing ever.
Yeah.
So, cause she's like, "Execute Order 66." Isn't that the one where? But not when she's out there. And I remember when Maul opens his eyes, and you hear the lines that Mace Windu, Palpatine, and Anakin have. And I literally had to pause it. I literally had to pause the episode, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. I know Ahsoka and Rex are ultimately gonna be fine. This is still gonna hit me like a freight train.
Just
And
imagine
when they
if Rebels never
used
happened.
Matt Lanter to say, "What have I done?" and you could hear a hint of Hayden Christensen too,
Yes.
and I was like, "Dude, this is like," and Ahsoka could feel it. And then, oh my God, you can see the kind of shadowy, scarred face of Palpatine, and I'm just like, "Yo, Dave Filoni pulled all the stops."
Dave
Rex
Filoni knew what it was doing.
Rex is a liar, by the way. In Rebels, he goes, "I didn't betray my Jedi." You damn sure tried. For a brief second, he was like, "I didn't betray
True.
my Jedi." We're sitting here
he
thinking,
was crying though. He was crying.
we're sitting here thinking for 6 years, my man's. Oh, well, he must have taken the chip out before. Yeah, that's cool. And we see Rex go, "Say goodbye," and it's just
Yeah,
like,
for real.
I know he fought it, and I know he would have been the only ones able to fight it that much. But it
Yeah.
was kind of like, I told my friend, I was like, he said he didn't do it.
I will say though, the fine fives. Two things about that. I'm so thankful that did not become a TikTok audio. I saw that. I'm like, oh no. I was so scared of it. Every video I found on it, I said, do not make this into an audio. And two, him saying, I found fives, fine fives, fine fives, fine fives. To me, that's him not betraying Ahsoka. To me, that's
Giving her a hint.
he fought it as best as he could.
Oh
not
yeah.
betray her. So that little line in Rebels is one of those things that you can take it in multiple ways and it's different
You
meanings
could,
to
yeah.
it. And let's just say this: if Rebels did not happen, and we had that exact same scene play out in the same way,
Heart would be pounding because I would be like, "This is where
Yes.
Rex dies. Like this,
Or
Rex is gonna have
Ahsoka
to die
dies.
here, or Ahsoka's
Right.
gonna have to die here." And
yeah,
and the other big moment for me was the final scene in Siege of Mandalore,
Oh,
where it's the whole crashing sequence from the crash all the way up until the moment she leaves the helmets there.
oh.
And I don't know what it did to me, but like it was like deeper than crying moment. It was like an utterly sad moment. Because you know how we felt when Star Wars: The Clone Wars got canceled? We were like, what the fuck? Like, dude,
You were doing
like,
so well.
You were doing so well. And it was more outrage than sadness.
Yeah.
And so when we see the real end, it really felt like the real end. Ahsoka
Yes.
leaving the Jedi Order didn't feel like the end. It felt like they had 3 more seasons to tell.
Mhm.
But this one felt like, okay, we're done telling this story. And I remember just seeing all the clone helmets, and then they pan over and they show, and then you see Jesse's,
The
and you're just
bird.
like, oh my God.
more.
Right.
And the
Bird.
bird, which is the sister, right?
Yeah,
Representing the sister. And then the final pièce de résistance is when you see the stormtroopers at the end, and then you hear Vader breathing, and you're just like, oh, dude.
I knew it was coming. I saw it
All
on Twitter.
I remember all I wanted at when Clone Wars got canceled. I said, you know what they took from me the most? They took Clone Wars animated Darth Vader from me, because I know he would have kicked ass in terms of visuals. And I remember when he walked over there, and he walked like Matt Lanter Anakin. Like, you could see, I was like, that's, it sounds weird to say, but he walked like Clone Wars Anakin. You're like, I can tell that that's him. It's not like some big cloak. It's like, no, you can tell that is Matt Lanter's Anakin Skywalker underneath there, and how he walks, and just him, the striking image of him turning on the blue lightsaber, which some have argued is a foreshadowing of his eventual return to the light. Now, I don't know how deep. I mean, I think that's a fair thing to say, but just the image of the clone, and you see Vader's shadow walking away from it. That my friend was like, I'm not hungry, but do you want to get McDonald's? And I was like, it's 3 a.m. because we waited until the moment they made it go live. Of course, right. And we were like, it's 3 a.m, but okay. And we talked for like an hour until the sun started coming up. It was so sad.
That image of like just that last sort of shot of like that angle where Vader looks up, and then you just see like his eyes, and you can just tell that he like, even because you have to think of how Anakin is thinking. Like, he just picked up Ahsoka's lightsaber.
Yeah, so, and he knows it's hers because he gave it to her.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, so she's dead. I have lost everything, and now I am stuck here in this machine. I am this now. Oh,
it's almost like he looked at that and was like, I need to know. I need to know. Like, he went there knowing that Ahsoka was last on that ship, and seeing her lightsaber there, he was just like, okay.
Yep. Okay. So I'm Darth Vader now.
I'm Darth Vader for good now.
I will say.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Were you not done?
I was just finishing my thought. Like, it's just, my sons and daughter. My son, to my knowledge, just one kid. He thought he had one kid. He didn't know he had twins. My kid is dead. My wife is dead, and now my Padawan's dead. I hate my life. It's like, it's one of those feelings.
I will say 2 things to this. One, Disney releasing it on the May the 4th. Was very unfortunate for me. I will say this. Well, no, because it was every Friday, and when you release something on May the 4th, there's something called time zones, and they accidentally released it. It was every night at 3 because that's when Disney Plus updates, and then at 3, they released it on May the 4th as a surprise in Australia when it was May the 3rd in North America. And I could not. I saw the final Darth Vader lightsaber. I knew.
Okay, I understand now.
Right. I knew it was coming, but basically, like, it didn't deter anything for me. If anything, it made it worse for me because I knew the lightsaber was coming. And man, just to see it, know it was coming was so sad because I didn't know the context of it. But like, you could have just put it on Friday. Like, I understand it's powerful to put on May the 4th, but time zones are a thing, man. But whatever. And then the second thing I'd like to say is when you guys are discussing Vader and finding the lightsaber, there is no canon timeline for when that happens.
Yeah, we don't know how long.
That's right. That could be after. That could be literally after the fight in Rebels. It could be after he fights Ahsoka. It could be literally days after. Well, not days because stormtroopers have to, cross over to clones have to cross over.
It was at least a couple of years later.
And Dave Filoni said, I think in an interview, it's up to the fans and people's imagination because it's not for me to say when that happens because I think it takes away from the scene. It's just something that happens, and whatever you want to theorize and think, it's up to you to debate.
At some point, he sees that lightsaber, and
But okay, so you also have to think about my point of view, right? Because I'm watching all this stuff live. I don't know when you stumbled onto it, but for me, Ahsoka left the Jedi, and then the Clone Wars were canceled. She was gone forever for me.
Yeah.
And then Netflix made a season 6. Ahsoka's not in it
at all. She was in like a vision for Yoda. I think that was it. Like, she was dying in the vision.
Exactly. And then we didn't find out anything about her until the season end of of season 1 of Rebels, the last episode. And
That was a big
right.
reveal. Fulcrum, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
True.
I'm watching all this stuff live. You know what I mean? But that last scene of the arc, you know what happens years later, but she gave Anakin those lightsabers and left for good. Now, we don't know when he tinkered with them, when he changed lightsaber crystals or whatever, but he never knew if she was coming back ever, right? So he did that out of love for her, not knowing if she would ever come back.
And it was symbolic because Dave Filoni said that is the way he wanted to show, because he just showed it, he didn't tell it. He showed that that's one of the faults of Anakin. He can't let go of something because he's always working on them. And then, I don't know if you guys saw this, he basically said, this is the way I showed that Anakin couldn't let go of Ahsoka, is by tinkering the lightsabers, because it was always his. It was always became a possession of his, and he became possessive over her, and showed how much he meant, and it was his downfall.
And somebody also made a good point about that to expand on what you said. I saw this on Reddit. They said it also kind of highlights, in a weird way, how narcissistic he is in terms of, or overconfident and cocky he is. Yeah. Because the man, he remodeled her lightsabers to make them blue.
Right.
Then he makes a comment about it, so you knew he made a conscious decision to do that. He goes, maybe they're a little better. And she gives him that look like, ha ha ha, and we're like, oh, Anakin. But it also kind of highlights, like, no, that's how he is with most things. Like,
true.
Like, no, I think mine is a little bit better. I think I can do this a little bit better. I think I'm a little better at this than you are. I think your last lightsabers were kind of dumb, so let me give you the ones that kind of look like mine. It's like, it's very narcissistic. I love him for it, but I did kind of know. At first I thought he was reaching. I was like, I don't know if I. That makes sense. That makes pretty good sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this comment just popped up for me, but did Anakin love Ahsoka more than Padme? It's a different type of love. Different type of love.
Yeah.
I'm talking amount.
We in the question part of this now? I can't. Oh, this is.
I ended my stream so long ago. I'm not even, because I couldn't look at the chat anymore. I was just like, I'm done. We're having such a good conversation.
So it's. Did Anakin love Ahsoka more than he loved Padme? I want to say no. I want to say that his love for Padme, I would argue, is a lot like his love for Luke and Leia. And here's why I say it's more powerful. I remember Dave Filoni said this after Rebels season 2 finale. That's my dog in the back being an a-hole. He said this after season 2's finale aired, and it's probably one of the greatest Star Wars moments ever.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's actually pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet.
Okay, I got you. Just making sure. It's like they know. But Dave Filoni said specifically, he was like, I made a point that everybody wants Ahsoka to be the one to temporarily turn Anakin back. He was like, I wanted to make a point that Luke or Leia are the only two people left alive that could possibly have a chance of turning him back to the light. That's how big that moment is in the original trilogy when Luke goes, Dad, please help. He's getting electrocuted. Dad, I'm your son, please. And Vader kind of like looks around. He's like, nope, can't do it. And he picks Palpatine up and throws him down the thing. Like in a split-second decision, he just throws him down there. And he goes, nah, I couldn't do that. He wouldn't have that same thought process if that happened to Ahsoka. I think it would hurt him. Yeah. It would hurt him really badly.
He could do it.
Fuck. He would hate Palpatine even more for it. But I don't think that he would have like saved her from that. Because he that moment where he goes, then you'll die, is like his answer to that. Where she goes, I won't leave you, not this time. And there's like a moment of pause. And then you can see his eye kind of flare up again. And he's like, you're going to die then. It's like, that is his answer. If Luke said that, Vader would not have said, then you're going to die.
No.
Somebody made a really good parallel. They go, when Ahsoka says, I won't give up on you, Darth Vader says, then you'll die. Luke says, I'm not going to turn, and then you'll be forced to kill me. And Vader kind of gives that, well, if that's your destiny, then it's like, no, that's the dad answering him. He's like, I really prefer if you wouldn't. Maybe we could come to a compromise. And Luke's like, nah, Luke feeded into that. He knew that Vader had this conflict in him, and that's why I think that he loved Padme more than he loved probably almost anybody else. And that's why I think that, and seeing his reaction to Luke is why I think that, because he's looking at Padme and himself. He's going, I'm not going to let this happen again because I already I caused my wife to die. And I'm risking my kid's life now. I'm not going to do this. Sorry to get like super into it, but it's just like, I feel so passionate about that.
I would agree with you because,
I agree.
Strictly because of how, Ahsoka was self-sufficient, right? She could handle things on her own. It's an entirely different ballgame when he's talking about Padme or someone that he views as someone that he has to protect. You remember the second time in season 6 when Clovis came back and Anakin beat the living crap out of him.
Beat his ass.
Yes.
Put his
Several
lightsaber
times.
away.
Yeah, and just like
when they punch each other. Oh, that's so funny.
No, he beat her so bad that she was like, "Hey, hold on, we need to take some time apart." Like,
I might need a minute from you.
I just picture
That was
the Simpsons of he's dead already.
He's already dead.
So Josh, I kind of want to agree with you at the same time and disagree with your point, because I think on screen, and what we see as a viewer, the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka is stronger than the relationship between Anakin and Padme. But when you look at canon and what the story of Star Wars wants and tells, his love for Padme is bigger. So as a viewer, we see his love for Ahsoka, but within the story, we see his love for Padme. So that's the only thing I would ask for more from Clone Wars, but I'd ask one thing, and it's nitpicky, is just see more of Anakin and Padme in a romantic sense than a hiding it sense. Oh, you're good.
Go ahead, Zach.
No, sorry. I was just gonna piggyback off of that. I think that the fact that the marriage between Padme and Anakin is a secret within itself is, I don't know if this was like purposely done on behalf of Dave Filoni, but I kind of like that there wasn't as much scene between them because it was a secret. Yeah, you know. So like. We could have seen like all that love, and we did see that love in between him and Padme in some episodes, not a lot, but like between Anakin and Ahsoka, you could kind of see like elements of his love with Padme go towards Ahsoka in a like fatherly sense or brotherly sense. So stuff to think about.
Also, another thing that I don't think gets brought up literally at all. I've never heard anybody talk about this. I've never even spoke about it. The point in the Clovis arc where Padme tells Anakin, "I think we should take a break," and they do take a break, like in the relationship. Mm-hmm. That is such an underrated and such a powerful moment because of how that breaks Anakin. Yeah. It breaks Anakin so hard to take a break with Padme. I mean, we don't know how long it's for. Probably like a week or two, but that is so hard on Anakin as a character. And nobody brings that up.
Because he's so possessive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, literally, seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy how, he goes crazy for her. He did it the first time and he does it the second time. And I don't know, I think it's such amazing character development because if you guys, if you only had the movies, you only had 1, 2, and 3, his fall to the dark side was like that.
Pretty quick.
It was it was very quick. Mm-hmm. That's why the Clone Wars is so important, is because we get to see the seeds of that. We get to see his attachments. We get to see the failings of the Jedi. We get to see all this stuff in context and presented the correct way where, yes, the Jedi are wrong, but they are the only good guys in the universe. They're just not right all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, I don't know, it's so beautiful.
You definitely see like the pot boiling in the series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we end the Clone Wars. Order 66 happens, and so I'm gonna tie a couple of last things together.
Sure.
So the Bad Batch series is going to cover Order 66. It is not happening concurrently with the Clone Wars. It is after the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And it's the Bad Batch like kind of handling what is going on. We don't know what side they're going to be on, although I assume they're not going to be taking Order 66 because they are rogue in their nature. But are you guys excited for the Bad Batch, and what do you guys want to see? I'll start this one with Zach.
Personally, I wasn't a huge fan of the Bad Batch when I first saw them come about in the start of season 7. But I also respected it because we all knew what was going to happen towards the end of the season. So it's okay, we're getting more context and more stories to tell with the new characters and all that stuff. But I wasn't 100% sold with them. But on the other hand, since they are getting their own spin-off series and we are going more into the aftermath of Order 66, and that could also bring up old characters from the Clone Wars, I never like to judge anything before anything pops up. So I'm really excited that something like this is getting made. Anything Star Wars that is getting made. So I'm interested to see what direction it's going to go. Really.
Nice. And Josh?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Zach. I remember when it got announced because I'm a big Star Wars leaks guy on the subreddit, Star Wars leaks. I like hearing a lot of scoops. I don't look too much into it because I want to be somewhat surprised.
Right.
But I do appreciate it for letting me know when new shows are getting announced and stuff like that, because they're like that when it comes to guys, this is getting announced tomorrow. That's getting announced today. That's the big surprise.
And then also, real quick, sorry to interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Also add in, do you think the Bad Batch have their inhibitor chips, and how does that work as well? If you can.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. Personally, I don't think they do. I think their entire creation was so unorthodox and purposefully unorthodox that I don't think they either didn't have room or they didn't have the resources, they didn't have time to put them in there. And I think it'd be an interesting dynamic to have them kind of be the only clones in the entire Grand Army of the Republic. And they're kind of just so what happened? They're oh, well, the Jedi are traitors. And then Hunter's well, that's fucking stupid. And it's so they're the only ones that are going, they're the only ones going does this smell like bullshit to you? And it'd be cool for them to kind of uncover that on their own. That would be a good mercenary type thing that they're kind of still doing their badass thing, and they're probably going to come into conflict with some clones that kind of stayed with the Empire, because I have a hard time believing they stayed with the Empire after it happened, because they're free will. I think they're totally free reign. But in terms of my excitement for the series, I'm with Zach on that. I didn't really ask for it, so when I saw it pop up, I was oh, is it another episode? Is it a special? And they were no, it's a new show. And I was a show? I was honestly, dude, I would have preferred an Ezra Thrawn sequel than
for real.
We still don't know what happened to them.
True.
And
True.
And so I honestly would have preferred that kind of announcement. And that's in a completely different timeline. So I'm excited for it, and we talked about it earlier. I want to know what happened to certain clones. I want to know how maybe they'll explain what happened to Wolf and Gregor in that one. If Rex shows up in it, maybe that's how we'll know what happens in it. Because I remember the big thing I was upset about, as much as I love season 7, I was hoping that we kind of figure out how Wolf and Gregor kind of got. I was there's only so much you can tell in 12 episodes, so I understand if they couldn't. But
because in Rebels, they were just
right,
oh, they're all back together. Okay,
right? They're oh yeah, we got our chips removed, and I'm
yeah.
How?
When did that happen?
No. Yeah, and they're oh, it's story for another time, Maz Kanata. But but no, I'm cautiously optimistic about it. If the animation's anything like season 7, I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it. And I think if I had to guess, it's gonna be like every other Dave Filoni Star Wars show ever, Clone Wars and Rebels. It's gonna start kind of slow. It's gonna get kind of there's gonna be episodes where we're whatever.
And then there's gonna be some sort of wolf in there.
Yeah, Wrecker's gonna make friends with an astromech droid, and we're gonna be this is the stupidest. And then the end of season 1's gonna show Ahsoka and Rex, and we're gonna be oh, yep, it's picking up now. and then it's going to get really good. If it's anything like the other two shows he's done, because as much as people like harping on Clone Wars, and I think all of you can experience that in the comment section when they go, Clone Wars good, Rebels bad, Clone Wars good, Rebels bad. I guarantee you we all remember the jankiness that was the early part of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yes.
People seem to forget how janky the animation was. Some of the lines were kind of cringy for 2008, 2009, and people always tend to forget that. So I think Bad Batch will have some growing pains, but I ultimately think it'll be fine. I probably won't like it on the level of Clone Wars, probably not Rebels either, but it'll be fun.
So I guess I'll go my opinions now. I said this earlier.
And then also, all the same questions to you. Someone tossed in, might there be a young Cal Kestis cameo, or maybe a young Kanan Jarrus? But go ahead, Jordan.
So I made a video directly addressing this, so I'll basically redo everything I said there. Is that for me? If this is my hopes for it, did I want it? No. Did I need it? Maybe. And here's the thing I said is because I want the Bad Batch to be treated the way the Jedi were in Clone Wars, in the sense that they're not necessary to the story, but they're telling the story through the eyes of the Bad Batch, right? If this is a Rebels-esque show where it goes start to finish, story, end. It worked for Rebels, but I think it can't work for the Bad Batch because there's not enough there. But if you do an anthology series,
where I see what you're saying.
I think my points earlier didn't get addressed well enough because we didn't have the time for it and wasn't the conversation. But if you do an anthology series, 2 episodes, Hunter finds a random Jedi, and like old Jedi, and he has the Hunter adventure, and I forget their names, but one of the Bad Batch goes off and has a flashback to the time he went to the planet during the Clone Wars, and he had that time, and this and that. And you have an episode where you flash back to Fan Theory 99 is actually the first part of the Bad Batch because Domino Squad 99, haha, nice touch, right? Yeah. And you go back and see the creation of 99, but it's set within the timeline, but they're sitting around a campfire and they flash back to that just like they did the Domino Squad flashback, right? I think it can fill in a lot of Clone Wars, right? And you go in and say, we can't really do Boba Fett Cad Bane after season 7. It was too good to make a season 8. There's a lot of material there. But what if the Bad Batch are becoming bounty hunters and they're trying to get bounty hunters, but they just physically and mentally can't? They run into Boba Fett. Hey, guys, I'm a clone just like you. Boba Fett tricks them into doing something. And quote me when this happens. Okay, cool. You're this guy. You're one of us. We'll run with you, brother. Boom. Run into Cad Bane. Boba Fett Cad Bane arc reworked, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the perfect way of continuing Clone Wars without continuing the show. But can it go bad? Yes, everything can go bad. So again, cautiously optimistic, and I hope it follows what I think it will. But then again, you never know the differences between a creator and a producer and the studio. So it has a lot to do with, is not Disney per se, but are the higher ups and the Lucasfilm just going to say, Dave Filoni, run with it? Or is it going to be very constricted to a more PG audience? But after the success of season 7, yeah, it's a very good question. But I think after the success of Clone Wars, I think I have my own thoughts about The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian and the live action stuff is going to be very, I like to say Marvel-fied, is how I like to call it. Because I think that's a lot of the recent Star Wars stuff and a lot of media coming out from everything is very Marvel-fied, trying to create the success Marvel did. I think it's going to be a lot of testing what fans like now. But the animation is going to be the animation, because when I say PG stuff is that Disney XD, Rebels was made for Disney XD, right?
Yeah.
And you cannot deny the fact that Rebels went dark, but it couldn't go dark enough because of Disney XD. When Cartoon Network allowed it to go as dark as it ever wanted to go, right? Netflix, because it was Netflix, allowed it to go dark. Season 6 went dark, right? But will Disney Plus let the Bad Batch series do what it wants and breathe? But we saw season 7 do that. Literally the darkest Clone Wars ever went, probably at some points. Well, up there.
Maul was just beheading people.
Clones got their heads cut off.
But yeah, basically. I realized what I was saying as I said it. But basically, we saw Disney Plus have no problem with beheading people. if the Bad Batch series decides it wants to do what it can do, it may rival or exceed the Clone Wars. But that's my thoughts. Not exceed, but in the sense of as a full show, it can rival the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
But it's a matter of what the Bad Batch wants to do with itself.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's wrong by saying that, but I think it's, again, how is this going to be approached? But
yeah, exactly. And I think so. It sounds like we're all in agreement where it's not what we asked for, but to be honest, they are probably the best starting point for us to be a gradient into the fledgling empire.
Yeah.
Because if you were looking at it from a Jedi perspective, it's run, hide, pretend you're not a Jedi for a decade or so. You know what I mean? But we're gonna watch these guys have to deal with all this stuff. And then to answer the question in the chat that I posed to you guys, I think that they do have their inhibitor chips, but all of them are mutants, right? They're like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't think it's going to work. It's going to be, you know what I mean, them not being typical people. It's not going to quite work. But the thing I love is them each being so specialized. I love heist stuff. I love everything heist related. I hope we get a series of Bad Batch heist where one guy has to go here, then the strong man has to be at this point, and then the tech guy is in a chair somewhere down the street.
Very possible.
You know what I mean?
Like the way that they're set up, yeah.
Yeah,
with all their
the
specialties.
archetype. It's the archetype. Like it's like the stereotypical like big guy, the leader, the tech guy, and then the quiet dude who's an absolute badass. It's always literally the stereotypical squad. It's gonna be A team. It's gonna be A team essentially.
That's
also,
what I want.
Everyone always forgets Echo's the Bad Batch. And Echo
I keep forgetting Echo's in it.
Echo's part of the Bad Batch. And
right.
Stories that can be told through Echo's point of view, literally if you just call it the Bad Batch and literally have Echo as the main character and just go be like,
honestly, yeah.
Cody, Rex.
Yeah.
Have a reunion with all of them because of Echo.
Yeah.
Like that's Clone Wars season 8, season 9, season 10, season 11 without the Jedi. And that's one thing that I like to say is this can be the continuation of Clone Wars without calling it the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But season 1 has to walk so the rest can run.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it'll be a good bridge show where, because we look at Rebels as kind of like as a spiritual successor to the Clone Wars.
Yes.
And a lot of the
Clone Wars reclamation project.
Yeah. It's like a lot of arcs in Rebels are kind of like. It gives off serious, this show got canceled, so I didn't have a chance to finish it energy. So I'm going to tell that story here or finish that story here. Mm-hmm. And so that's why Ahsoka that's probably a big reason why Ahsoka showed up in Rebels, because Dave Filoni probably felt so bothered that he didn't get to finish her arc the way he wanted to, that he was like, you know what? You're giving me control of this show. I'm going to throw her into this one and make it work. And I don't blame him. I don't.
I will kind of argue to say the opposite is that there's some arcs that cannot happen in 3 episodes. This thing happens. We need to see what the effects of this decision was 10 years down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we might get some of that as well. I mean, so one of the things I think about is, again, in the 2017 Vader comic, he goes to Mon Cala and fights against the same king that he helped put in place in season 4, you know, and there's callbacks to that, and I don't know, I just love how this whole universe is it's so interconnected, and on some levels it seems like they want to recreate Marvel's success, but on another level they are actually doing something way more ambitious than Marvel, because they have not. Marvel is just movies in one era from 2008 onward that they finished. What they're doing with Star Wars is they're connecting 1977 to right now, and right now there's 66 books, canon novels for Star Wars. There's a lot. I've read all of them except for I'm partway through Alphabet Squad, the second book. It's hard to read. I don't like it, but I'm going to finish it because I'm a completionist. Anyways.
Dude, we could have a whole entire episode about that. I can't stand it either. Even the audiobook's dull.
Oh, it's hard. But
I'm on chapter 3 and I was like, this sucks, bro. I was like, this is terrible. This is terrible, bro.
It's true. It's true. And all the comics, like we've never seen this happen. So it's ambitious as balls, but I'm loving every minute of it, and I'm hoping we get more, and we'll see how it plays out. But they're playing an interesting game, and especially when you got into the Project Luminous stuff, and they're having a bunch of authors of amazing books, amazing authors craft a new era of this universe. I am so stoked for what's going to happen.
By the way,
very scared.
That's never been explored. Like that particular era, 200 years before the Phantom Menace, so it's probably 232 BBY, probably by Battle of Yavin standards. That even in Legends has never been touched before. We always talk about the Old Republic and thousands of years ago when Darth Revan and Darth Malak and Malgus, they have never touched when Yoda was a middle-aged man. And and I kid you not, I have never been more excited about a particular era. I'm more excited about it than the Old Republic. Because we've kind of, in a way, seen the Old Republic before. We've seen it before. This is like Jedi at the top.
Yes, prime Jedi. What was a Jedi mission? What does that entail?
They wear golden robes. They're walking around like golden age superheroes.
Yeah.
And as much as we love and like romanticize the Jedi Knights, we love them a lot. They've never been romanticized like that within their own universe. Yeah. Like we look at these guys and they're wearing like these golden robes and their lightsabers are so out there. They're letting the world know that they're Jedi Knights. And that's the culture that surrounds that galaxy at the time. It's a time of peace, but it's not like peace in the sense of like everybody's happy. It's peace in the sense of like there's stability and there isn't like a war that's about to break out. And that's what I love about like how the Jedi are designed. I love, if you guys have seen the feature for the High Republic that they were hinting at in the Star Wars YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The one that I'm really excited about, and I got giddy when I saw it, there's going to be a Jedi that gets touched on and he's an Outer Rim Jedi. Like they have like these outposts.
Yes.
He's going to be like a Texas Ranger Jedi.
Oh, yeah. He looks so cool.
Operates in that. I was like, dude, I have never known, like to quote Team 4-Star, never in my life have I needed something so much and never known until I received it. Like, I was like, that.
Right.
We need Walker Texas Ranger, but space. Like, a Jedi that, like, he's not like at the Jedi Temple. He's not really chilling at the Jedi Temple. He doesn't know all the, or he knows about it, but he doesn't care about all like the typical proceedings. He is the gruff what's his name? Kurt Russell Jedi Master walking around going, hey, you guys making trouble around here? And then like takes the lightsaber out for a flash and then he's gone. It's like, dude,
the only thing I'm scared about with the High Republic, and this can be very nitpicky, and again, understand it's gonna be nitpicky, is if you saw the storyboard with the ideas and it was a whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the ideas on there, again, it's one of those things that they're just ideas. You don't know what can come with them, but since they are on a YouTube video, they're probably official, right? It's just the way they put things with that, because there are a few ideas on there. I won't go into specifics. I was like, that doesn't really work, but it can work. So it's one of those cautiously optimistic things where I'm okay with it, but it can go terribly wrong. And I don't see it going extremely well. Not because I don't want it going extremely well, just because it's in the comic form and not everybody reads comics, but it's doomed to fail, in my opinion. As good as it can be, it's set up for failure. And I hate saying that about Star Wars because I think Star Wars is going to be great. But I just think the High Republic, the way it was announced, the way they went about it at Lucasfilm, the time at which they announced it, not everybody was super happy with Star Wars at the time. And I think if you just waited out just like a year later, like if you released it right now and said High Republic coming, we'd all be stoked. But when they released it, we were all still a little iffy, you know?
Can I
Well,
offer you oh, sorry,
go
man,
ahead.
go ahead. Can I offer you a counter, like an optimistic side of that?
For sure.
I would argue, and even though your concerns are very valid, and it very well could have been promoted like that because they fully expected it to fall on their face.
Yeah.
I look at it as they're dipping their toe in this era to see how it's received. I don't think they're expecting on making this a New York Times bestseller type of series.
No.
I don't think they are. But I think if they look at the actual reviews of people who are reading it, and there's a lot of enthusiasm behind this era, then we're going to start hearing stuff about shows. Then we're going to start hearing stuff about more in-depth comics. I know they're doing like some illustrated stuff, but they're going to start doing like comic series, like the Vader comics. We're going to start seeing like what these guys look like, what the universe actually visually looks like.
Yeah.
And then if it's really popular, there will be a movie or two. So I think this is going to be one of that. It's going to be a trial period where they see how people like react to this era, which, I mean, I'll be honest, I think it's a really interesting era. Like I'm really excited to see what they can do here. But I agree with you in that they're very much testing the waters.
So what I hope they do,
if I can, so the way that the whole announcement and all this stuff has played out to me has been, for one, I get a lot of people that have some confusion about the era that's going to take place, right? And if you were to look at it like, okay, this is 200 to 300 years before, that means that this is, American Revolution time versus the
long time ago.
Yeah.
Versus the Old Republic, which would be ancient Egypt to us.
Pretty
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Huge difference. And when you're looking at this time period, we know that Benioff and Weiss were working on a project, and they took another job, and so they ended up being put off the project. I think that was a High Republic project. And I think they're like, okay, we're not going to get the movies like we wanted to, but that's okay. We want to kind of build out this world so that we can make an amazing story within it. Kathleen Kennedy went on record saying, hey, we don't have outside information to pull from for these films, right? A lot of people went nuts because of all the EU stuff, but a lot of the EU stuff directly conflicts with what George Lucas was putting together, starting with the Thrawn trilogy and how cloning works in that one. So, and also, I don't know how the chain of ownership works with the Legends universe.
Yeah.
Are they going to pay this random person millions of dollars to expand? I don't know. I have no idea.
When they brought Timothy Zahn back to do the Thrawn novels, like that's bringing somebody who did them back. That's not taking somebody's character and saying, it's almost like when they got Thrawn, they were like, shit, we're gonna have to get because I kid you not, if I built that kind of following, because that's a cult following, like the Thrawn trilogy was the sequel trilogy to a lot of people who grew up on like the original trilogy, post 83 Return of the Jedi, prequels type of thing. It's like that really weird era of Star Wars. And so I think when they took Thrawn, they were like, all right, so Timothy, baby, you want to do some more books? And he's like, hell yeah, I'm going to do some more books. You're not taking my character and then using him however you want. I heard they gave him a really short leash, though, and that's kind of unfortunate, but I get it. Yeah. There's only so much he can write about.
Not going to lie, I've been enjoying what he's been doing so far. And
I do. He's
another
really
Thrawn book the end of this month, next month. It's
it's
either late August, early September. It's one of the two.
Yeah. I really enjoy his first one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I will say, somebody who doesn't read the comics and the books, even Rebel's portrayal of Thrawn is really good. Like,
I love Thrawn so much.
Yeah. Y'all would have heard me scream when I saw that trailer that revealed him.
Yeah.
It was a Star Wars Celebration. I vividly remember I had just gotten my driver's license, so I was already having a good ass day. And I come home and I'm like, oh my God, Star Wars Celebration is on, and I'm watching it, and I see it, and they go, and the trailer builds up this new character that they're introducing, and it's Cham Syndulla going like, we got absolutely destroyed by this new Imperial Admiral, blah blah blah, and I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, they did not. No, they did not. They did not just make him canon. And then like they were like, he anticipated every move. I was like, they put Thrawn.
They did it.
He walked out there, and I was like, oh my god, they actually did Thrawn, bro. I screamed so loud. My mom was like, shut the fuck up. I was just like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
I would love to talk off camera about Star Wars Celebration like later, not podcast information, but yeah.
But
Straight up, Star Wars Celebration 2015 changed my life.
You went? Oh my god, dude. That was the first one I saw on live stream. What was it like?
I mean, that's the one where they showed the first trailer for The Force Awakens.
I know.
You know, I was
that
there.
Still gives me chills.
I live in San Diego right now.
Oh,
because
dude,
of the friends that I made. No, I lived in Northern California at the time. Me and a friend came down. The people that I met during Star Wars Celebration 2015, I moved down, and one of them was my room. Now, we do.
I'm sorry.
I do apologize, and we can continue to talk about this. But I do want to go around because we kind of talked about all those things on my list. So I want to kind of go around and talk about, you know, what do you guys all want to see in Star Wars going forward, and then also give us kind of your closing remarks and let us know where we can find you. And I'm going to start with Josh.
I'm going to run the restroom real quick. I'll be right back to the end of this.
All right, be quick. We're going to start with Josh.
Awesome, cool. So ask me again what you want me to say. I was like, I'm Josh.
Yeah, I mean, your kind of closing remarks, what you want to see from Star Wars going forward, and where we can find you.
Me. Yeah. Okay, sure. Well, this has been Mace.ah.windu, or as you know me on TikTok, also known as Josh. You can also find me on YouTube. I'm after the whole TikTok controversies going on, I've been kind of in self-preservation mode where I'm like, all right, worst case scenario, TikTok gets banned. I want to go to YouTube. I made that clear. Like, I had YouTube before TikTok. It didn't really grow that much. I kind of want to focus on it if this doesn't end up working out. I tried Reels out. I'm not a big fan of Reels at all. I think it's fake. I think it's fake TikTok, and the fact that they tried to use TikTok's impending ban to try and take their users and get them for themselves. I was like, I hope you lose every last one of them because this is a terrible. Anyway, I hope
they don't understand TikTok for sure. They don't understand.
They don't. They say, they want short videos like Vine, and let's put it in the Instagram app instead of making it its own thing. Just get out of my face. Anyway, but no, you can find me on YouTube at Chrome Hokage. If for those of you who are familiar with Naruto, you know what a Hokage is. And then like Chrome, like a finish, like Chrome. And I'll probably put a link everywhere that you can find it in. I talk about pretty much everything I talk about on TikTok. It's just more in depth. I talk about it's more like a video essay channel. Like if I want to discuss like Korra at large, like I actually did a lot of Avatar stuff. If you want to, I had a video where I ranked the seasons of Legend of Korra. It was like a 35-minute video, and it was probably one of my proudest moments. And I do that kind of stuff. I do reaction videos whenever I don't have like the energy or time to really put together a cohesive video that's up to like par with editing and stuff like that. I do like a quick reaction video. I'll put my thoughts out there. So it's pretty much a more ambitious version of TikTok that I haven't caught fire on like I did. I'll be honest with you, getting 45,000 followers on YouTube would be a more accomplishing thing to me than getting 45,000 on TikTok. Like if I can get to that point on YouTube, like that's a good base to have.
Yeah.
I've been kind of peddling my YouTube channel as often as I could. And in the event that TikTok does get banned, I will probably make a live stream and give them like, guys, if you want more, go here, go here. Go here, like that kind of thing, as much as I can. But you can find me there. I have social media. I have personal social media that you guys are free to join me on. I'm j.avery97. It's literally my personal account. It's not Mace.ah.windu. And then on Twitter, I don't have to peddle my Twitter.
No,
that's fair.
Facebook's for my grandma and aunts. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And as always, you guys can find me on TikTok as long as the app. I hope to God the app sticks around because I love you guys a lot. And I love the content that's here is unique in a way that if it ever left, it wouldn't be the same. It would never be the same. So I hope it sticks around for the long run. I hope somebody buys it. Somebody has to bite the bullet and buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan,
Dude,
where can we find you and your closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts on Star Wars as a whole. I just hope they continue doing short form content and not movies like TV shows and all that. I think that's the perfect way to go. I think movies are a way of the past for expanded universes now.
Sorry, sound blew up. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Movies are a thing of the past for content now. I think expanded universe has to be done in shows. I mean, that's just a personal opinion. Just because our attention span is so much shorter, and there are a lot more stories to be told. For me personally, Haber Jordan, as you see it there, Jordan's my first name, not my last name. But you can find me on TikTok, Haber Jordan, and I'm really trying to make Twitch a thing. That's been my biggest thing I've always wanted to do is Twitch. And then both places I stream every day at 8 p.m. as of right now. And I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I really hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. But yeah, those are my closing thoughts. TikTok and Twitch. But yeah.
Yeah, and then also Haber Jordan has a Discord. Do you want to plug the Discord?
We'll talk about that.
Never mind. He does not. Don't worry about it.
I have a personal Discord.
Don't worry about it. Anyways.
You can join my personal Discord in my TikTok bio. That's a big thing. But the Star Wars server, we'll talk later about it. But yeah.
And Zach Bravo, my personal hero. Where do we find you?
You're so sweet. I love you. I love everyone here. I had the best time doing this. So thank you, Darth Chaco, for inviting me to the high ground. But my closing thoughts on Star Wars. Anyone can love Star Wars. Literally anyone. It doesn't matter what sort of opinions you have. If you love Star Wars, if it's really near and dear to your heart, then you are the truest fan. I don't care what you say. And also, I need more mall stuff because that's the only way that's the only way that I'm ever gonna blow up on TikTok, because like that short period of time where we were getting new episodes every Friday, I was blowing up, and now I'm kind of like deteriorating a little bit, but it's fine. But no, seriously, there is so much more that we need to find out with mall that I just want to find out. And also, if this ever gets seen blown up anywhere, this is my official statement being I need to be the next Darth Maul, whether voice or actual physical character.
I agree.
I would love to be that. So you can follow me on Instagram. It's at the THE_ Zach Bravo. You can follow me on TikTok, which is just one word, Zach Bravo. And if you want to get really frisky, you can find me on YouTube, which is, you've guessed it, Zach Bravo.
Zach Bravo if you're nasty. Gotcha.
Zach Bravo if you're nasty. But I really had a good time. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I don't know how. I feel like every single week tops the previous week. I love doing this so much because I get to talk to actual Star Wars fans about Star Wars, and I don't get bogged down and
we talked for 3 hours today.
That was so much fun.
I know. I'm sorry. I am really sorry.
No, it's fine, bro.
Fun.
It's fine. You know why it's shocking to me? Because it didn't feel like 3 hours.
It didn't.
We blinked and it was 10 o'clock and then it was 11. So
I love you guys so much. I will say, may the force be with you always.
You as well.
May the force be with you.
It's the best. All right.